Wait. Wait, the unmute sound plays even when I'm not in a Discord chat? I didn't even realize that's what happened. I didn't even realize that's what happened. Hello, everybody. Hello. The ads are about to end in a couple seconds. Supposedly, they're gonna end. Hello, Shadow. Hello, Dango. Taku's probably gonna die at the end of this one. Yeah, I believe it. How many of these endings has he died at the end of? I think most of them. Dango, hey, chat. Hey, chat. Sup, Shadow. How's it going, Dango? Let me do the professional streamer thing. Turn on streamer mode before I switch to a scene so that I will know ahead of time whether or not things are properly set. I am a proper streamer. I will have you guys know I am a proper streamer. I'm so proper. I'm not even here. That's how proper of a streamer I am. I'm not even fucking in the chair. And you're wondering, how do we hear him? Where could he be? Wolfborg Doko. I'm here. Don't worry. Hold on. Where's my camera one? Oh, I know what it is. I'm like covering. I'm covering the camera view with the image of my room because I was doing the little PNG tuber thing the other day. Yeah, this is the chair stream. Yeah, this is I'm the chair. How's it going? Sakura Alice, how is it going? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Oh, hell yeah, it's December 16th. One more week plus a day till the 24th. Oh, hell yeah. Wait, which one is it? Is it this one? Okay. Wait, but where's my camera? Hold on, hold on. Is it this? Do I do this? Is it this? It is this.
Why are you doing not a part of mine?
Whoa!
And gifted a tier 1 sub to Sakuralis33.
Yo!
6 gift subs in the channel.
Yo, thank you so much for the sub, but what the fuck was that sound that happened on top of my alert sound? Oh, that was the Twitch alert that Andy was telling me about last night that I forgot to take off the scene. We just had like 2 alerts play at once, and one of which is Twitch's alert thing, which we did not set to be a proper thing. I will delete that, so it does not happen. Thank you so much, Dango, for gifting a sub to Sakura Alice. You absolute legend. Where is... Okay, I do exist. Hi, I'm real. Whoa, how did he do that? How did he just appear and disappear? Like, oh my god, where'd he go? Oh my god, where'd he go? Oh, 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 whoa, whoa, oh. Make those a little smaller. I like to be able to see. I like to be able to see my anime shit behind me. I like to be able to see it. Let's put it like, there you go. We'll put the GIF in the bed. We'll tuck it in. We'll tuck in the GIF. We'll tuck in the GIF. Where's the chat box? I need to lock this so I can't move it anymore. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, controller's plugged in. Let's launch cast at Noah. Make sure that's working. How's everybody doing today? You guys ready? Do another round of Chaos Head, the last of the many routes, and then we get to do the true ending tomorrow night. You guys ready for this shit? Now, we're later to start than I expected tonight because of a couple things. One, I was going to the movies today because it's Tuesday. I usually go to the movie. I went to see Megalopolis. It's one of those things where I can understand why people are weird and vague about it and also mixed opinions about it. It's an interesting movie. It's a very interesting movie. It's like, if the Roman Empire was in the modern day world, but it's also like half a metaphor for film direction. At least that's how I interpreted it, or whatever. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to describe, which makes sense for why people are vague about it now, I guess. It is a very interesting experience. You will remember a lot of weird scenes and like weird like set pieces and weird like different like fashions and like different setups that they have with that kind of world that they have for it. That's like really cool. But I don't know if I'll remember what the fuck the movie was trying to tell me a week from now. I don't know if I will. So that was one thing. I went to the movie and I wasn't sure what time it was going to end and what time we were getting back. I was back by 8 o'clock. However, we decided to watch The Lighthouse in the Takako server. Takako said, we're watching it at 8 o'clock, and I got back just in time to watch The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is amazing, okay? So I was like, let me just push back the stream 2 hours to watch absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. Because The Lighthouse is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Dragon Ball character over there? Wait, is there a Dragon Ball? Wait. Was there a Dragon Ball character? Was what? Oh, you were talking about when I was disappearing. I'm sorry. It takes me a while to rechat. It takes me a while to process. Pretty good. How about you? I'm doing good. Doing good. I'm doing good. I had an okay day at work with the work I'm doing. We were interviewing for a mobile app developer for our job there, and we've gone through all the candidates now. So we've been like compiling our collective opinions and impressions about all that kind of stuff. It's awkward interviewing people for jobs to like work with us in the future, though. I've done it a couple times before, but I haven't really gotten used to it yet. We are ready to see Fuhihihi Man. Oh boy, we're gonna see the Fuhihihi Man. One thing I have to fix on the Chaos and Noah scene. He's not here. He's not here in this background thing while we wait for the actual game to load yet. We gotta put him in here. Oh, now the game has loaded. Hold on. We're gonna hide the game so I can put him in. He's in this scene. We got them in this scene. We can move them over. Yeah, like this. Hold on. Wait, do I not have waiting music in this scene just in case I want it to happen? Did I not do this? Okay, don't worry about this. Audio input? No. No, it was not audio input. It is media? Media source? Add existing waiting music. There you go. There you go. And then we paste in this. Beautiful. And we move it to its proper spot. Which I think is here. Oh, I've just put it inside of a folder. That is going to be in every single scene now. Not good. Okay. There you go. Behind that. And behind this. Okay, alright. Now it's good. Now it's good. Now we lock it. Now we lock it. Do you think we got enough shit on the screen? Do you think we got enough shit on the screen for Chaos Head? Do you think we have like enough? Or do you think we need more? But, like, there's still some space. We could still put more shit. We could still put more stuff. Wait, let's put another Taku let's put another Taku React on here. Let's go. We have a whole collection that Cronus has sent us in the server. Let's see, what do we got next here? Let's go with... Yeah, let's go with this one. This is a good one. This is a good. This is good. Is it just gonna paste if I do paste? No, it's just gonna paste the last things I copied in. Okay. Paste! Paste. Sorry, that was very loud. I did not mean to upset you by being loud. We would never be loud in this stream. We would never be loud. We are very understanding of people who cannot handle streamer jump scares. Okay, we're very sensitive of it. Don't worry. Why is this above? Oh, it's above because I... Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. Why am I... Did my camera move? Why the fuck are you over there? Hello? Look at me. I'm the captain now. Look at me. Taco is me when I lose 50-50. Huh? What'd I do? Wait, what? What is this referring to? We need more? We need one more Taku? Well, you're gonna have to wait for tomorrow for that. Okay, we add one taku reactor a day. Also, do we still need... Is it this one? Is it this one? This guy? Do we still need him? I don't think we need him anymore. I just thought his face was dumb once. Okay. Now I can turn on the game thing. It'll work. Or not. It will just work out of the box. There you go. There you go. You guys never doubted me for a second, did you? Okay. Now for the ultimate test. The controller that I made sure was plugged in before we launched this game. I made sure it was plugged in. It will work. When I go to use it, it will work. There will be no issues. There will not be a single problem when I go to use this controller. After we listen to the song. Because I waited too long and now I want to hear a song. So we're going to listen to this and then we'll get started. Oh boy. Ruin my copyright. Do it. Yes, please. We're doing the Rimi route tonight. What are your favorite girls? What are the favorite waifus? What's the order of the waifus in the series for you guys right now? We got quite a lot of options. You got Rimi, you got Nanami, you got Yua, you got Ayase, you got Kozue, and you got Senna. You got a lot. You got a lot to choose from. I don't think I forgot any. I don't think I did. I think that was all of them. Ayase's ending was amazing. I will never forget Ayase's ending. It was incredible. I think Ayase is the top for everyone. It's hard. It's hard to compete against Peak, you know? It's hard to compete against her. It's hard. If I couldn't pick Ayase though, because obviously everyone's gonna say Ayase. If I couldn't pick Ayase, would it be Senna? It might be Senna. I think I like Senna. Although I do like the little Nanami insults. Die from EM waves. I do like those. I like those memes. Let me just list them. Ayase, Neki, Ayase, Neki. Oh, that's the list. That's the list. That's all there is in this game. That's all of them. Absolute cinema. Absolute. All right. Let's get going here. Controller does work. We are locked in. Okay. Now, what does our precognition say we have to do in order to set up this route? Well, according to my mental telepathic delusional abilities, the first delusion trigger we just... Hey, shut up, Taku. I'm trying to explain stuff to stream, okay? We do delusion trigger 1, we do positive. And then we get the yes-no prompt. Well, that's actually pretty quick. We don't have to bother with a whole bunch of other ones. This might have been the intended, like, first thing that you're supposed to do. And for some reason, my precognition ability says to do this last. I don't know why. And then we have to do the yes-no prompts. We'll do yes, no, yes, no, yes. That's pretty easy. And then... Anima Archetype starts in Chapter 8. God damn it. If you guys are new to watching these route streams, it usually takes a while for the game to skip to the actual route when it starts. There will be a couple new scenes that we have not read. There will be a couple new scenes. Okay, so we do positive here. I'll remind you later, but in case I forget, remember to update your stream game spreadsheet. True. I meant to add Voyager 19 to the spreadsheet last night, and then I didn't for whatever reason. I felt like it should have been obvious to him how much I didn't want to go and see a puddle of blood and gore. It would have been way too much for me. Have we really never done positive for this first one, or is it just because we're gonna get the Rimi yes/no prompt? I think it might be because we're getting the Rimi yes/no prompt. It wouldn't be like a haunted house or a horror movie or something people had actually died IRL. The killer was still on the loose. So wherever the murder was likely to be, I'd I'd have liked to be anywhere but there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the convo. I thought we were going to have a skipping montage. You know? Still. Yeah, I mean, I expected a skipping montage. And then we're already stopped on the first one. I expected it too. I expected it. And then it just kept going. Yeah, it really is Takami's fault. His popular times are truly here. The game just wants his attention. Still, I was curious about the murderer. What could have possibly been their motive? Were they just a psychopath that committed crimes for the hell of it? That was probably the most reasonable explanation. Well, whatever. It didn't really matter to me. I mean, I was a serial killer too. Even though I'd killed hundreds, people still treated me like a hero. That was in ESO though, LOLOL. Are you sure about that, Takami? Just goes to show how much better the 2D world is. Anyway, as I tried my hardest to turn down Misumi-kun's proposal, I imagined myself like a brawler straight out of some fighting game. A psycho killer? If I ran into a guy like that, I'd turn him into mincemeat. In my delusions, I could kill or spare anyone I wanted. But the people who actually tried to live out those sort of delusions were idiots. Didn't they know that real-life actions had real-life consequences? Even the new-gen killer would be caught eventually, and then they'd rot in prison for years, decades even, just waiting to be sent to the gallows. If I could say one thing to them, it'd be, what a pity. You really should have just kept your delusion to yourself. And then he has a delusion immediately upon saying that. I went out to buy myself some dinner. I took the road I always used to get to my local convenience store. It was only a 3-minute walk away from my base. I'd walked... Oh, you did neutral the first time, I think, and I think you went negative every time. Okay. I saw your message to the corner of my eye for a second, and I almost thought to myself, oh no, did I accidentally do neutral here? And this is not a positive delusion, but we just had a delusion. So obviously I did the delusion. Obviously I did it right. Obviously I did it right. Obviously I'm the GOAT. All right. I'd walked down this dirty alley more times than I could count. But for some reason, walking through it today, I couldn't help but feel as if I'd stepped into another world. I swear we have read this scene before, so it's probably just new because of the yes-no prompt thing. The alley was the same as ever, but it felt like it was the first time I'd ever set foot in it. Familiar yet new, like the opposite of déjà vu. I'd researched the phenomenon online before. The name of it was apparently jamais vu. What's more, the stench of rotting garbage was lingering in the air. The moisture in the atmosphere was so thick that, if I hadn't known any better, I'd have assumed that it had just been raining. The air was like syrup on my skin. I heard a sound. The faint sound of something dragging across the ground. Did you? I didn't hear shit. Was I supposed to hear something? I stopped in my tracks and listened closely. Are we supposed to hear something here? Are we supposed to... Sound like it was coming from up ahead, from somewhere down the alley and around the corner. Without any street lights or lit up windows, it was pitch black down there. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see a thing. It was strange. This was modern-day Shibuya, a place that, along with Shinjuku, was known as the city that never sleeps. So how could there still be places that were this dark? It almost felt like the entrance to a haunted house. Actually, there was one very large distinction. The darkness wasn't man-made. It was real. I didn't want to go any farther. Nothing good would come of it. My brain set off every alarm bell it could, trying to prevent my body from taking another step. This is a positive delusion, by the way. This is positive. This is very positive. But for some inexplicable reason, my body stepped forward anyway, as if drawn to that repeating sound. My fear urged me to stop. That something horrible would happen if I kept going. My heart started racing. My forehead was slick with sweat. Rimi? Hello? Suddenly a noise that was beautiful, yet somehow discordant. At the same... You say discordant there, right? That's how you... Wait. Hold on. This is going to annoy me. Discordant.
Discordant.
Okay, I was correct.
Discordant.
Okay.
Discordant.
That's your word of the day. Discordant. Disagreeing or incongruous.
Discordant.
or of sounds harsh and jarring because of lack of harmony.
Discordant.
There's your word of the day. There you go. Don't say you don't learn anything from my streams, okay? Okay. Suddenly a noise that was beautiful, yet somehow discordant at the same time, reached my ears. A voice garbled by static. Before I knew it, someone had grabbed my forearm. It was all too sudden. I panicked to try to scream for help, but all that came out was a puff of air. Terrified, I tried to force my body to run away, but it wouldn't listen. I couldn't move an inch. I looked toward my arm, and the hand of the thing that grabbed me came into view. Yeah, we definitely have seen this before. It was dark green, with skin taut like a mummy's. Countless veins protruded from the surface. It didn't look alive, but I'm trying to... I'll keep reading it in case there is something new that happens. If you go any farther, to be honest, it made sense that I couldn't move. Going all deer in the headlights was a natural reaction to what was happening. What was surprising to me, though, was that the voice in my ear was so soothing, the fear swelling inside me was starting to vanish. If he's smart, he'd date Rimi and make her dress up as Sarah-tan. Too bad Taku is dumb. He is really dumb, okay? She would probably absolutely do that. But no, he won't even... He's too busy thinking she's a murderer. And he might be right. I slowly looked over my shoulder. The first thing I noticed was the Seimei Academy emblem. The same emblem you could find sewn onto the chest of each and every Seimei uniform. Yeah, that's a normal uniform. There's nothing to be concerned about here. That looks about right. Then I noticed that the person was wearing a skirt, which meant she was a girl. But I didn't have the courage to look at the most important part, her face. She was standing way closer than I was expecting, so I couldn't bring myself to face her. I couldn't put my finger on why, but for some reason something seemed off, so I turned my attention back toward her. The hand gripping my arm was delicate and feminine, even though just a moment ago I'd seen it as green and grotesque. Okay, I think this is new from the scene that we've seen before. This girl, who was she? What kind of expression was on her face? What kind of expression was she making at me? What was she doing here? I had no idea why, but for some reason I felt like I knew her. While staring at the pale hand wrapped around my arm, I tried to envision what she looked like. In my delusion, she has a ribbon in her hair. I believe we answer yes here. Yes, we do. We answer yes, and then no, yes. We just alternate. So yes, she had a ribbon in her hair. Obviously. Duh. Is this Builder Rimi? She's wearing glasses. No, unfortunately, no, she was not wearing glasses. We wish she was, but she was not wearing glasses here. Okay, we love... The one thing I got out of Beyond the Boundary, I did not like Beyond the Boundary, but the one thing I got out of it was bespeckled beauties, okay? We all have to understand, bespeckled beauties. Is wearing over-the-knee socks. Absolutely she is. Absolutely. Is wearing a long skirt. No. No, she's not. It's very short. Is making some sort of salute at me. Duh. Why wouldn't she? Achievement unlocked. Snap. Discovered Rimi's story. We're in, boys. We're in. In spite of all my questions, I couldn't manage to get a single word out. I simply hung my head in silence. At some point, the dragging sound had stopped. And in its place, there was a smell coming from her body. Takumi desu? Takumi? The stench of blood. And then we wake up. That was awesome. I was sitting behind a computer monitor. I chucked down on cola to contain my excitement, then leaned back in my chair. That'd been one hell of a delusion. I especially like that mystery girl. I might give her a name and flesh out her personality in future delusions. You gotta set up, you gotta set up lore for all your delusions. You gotta set up a whole, once you make the OC in your delusion, you could just keep developing her in future delusions. That's just, yeah. I let my imagination run wild like this all the time. Usually I'd go on to cast an existing character as the girl, such as Sarah-tan. So I might as well do that here, too. Actually, Sarah didn't quite fit the vibe of that mystery girl. You know, normally I'm very annoyed by the Shady Link bros that show up in the chat. I don't think you guys can see it because I think Twitch Twitch prevented it. But as I explained before I started streaming, we were watching The Lighthouse, and this Shady Link guy is named Telling Lighthouse. Now, am I suggesting that Willem Dafoe is watching my stream right now? Am I suggesting that? Or our Pat? Am I suggesting this? The answer is yes. And he is. And he's a huge... I don't know what we call our fan base yet still. He's a huge Wolfborg fan, okay? He's a huge Takumi Fuhihihi enthusiast. Willem Dafoe, that is, of course. It's so specific, too. It can't be sunglasses or goggles. It's got to be bespectacled beauties with the regular glasses. You need any kind of glasses is fine, but it can't be sunglasses specifically or goggles. It has to be exactly reading glasses. Yes. This is a fact. Wait, I meant to read that. Well, at any rate, it was a lot of fun mixing together 2D and 3D in my delusions. I was the god of the world inside my head. In there, everything bent to my will. Oh, we got a fuhihihi out of him. We got the fuhihi, the first of many. I said that to myself, as if I were at my base. But when I remembered I was in an internet cafe, I quickly covered my mouth. Borgies? I don't know. We'll be the bourgeoisie. No. I don't know what to call it. We're not naming the fan base after wolves. And we're not doing the wolf part for any of that. I already have too many people thinking I'm a furry from the name. We don't need people thinking my whole fan base is furries too. Okay? I'm not a furry, at least. You guys can be furries if you want. I'm not a furry. This is just, I'm sorry to everybody disappointed. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the one to break the news, okay? There are several things that I am not, okay? What did I say that I'm not? I'm not a furry. I'm not a doctor or a priest. I'm not the German soccer team. I'm not a Beyblade. Okay, there's a lot of things that I'm not. There's a lot of things that I'm not. I'm also not Charlie Chaplin. That's a different Chaplin. That's a different Chaplin. That's not me. The Alpha Wolfborg and the Wolf Cubs. No, we are not calling you guys the Wolf Cubs. We're not calling you guys Cubs. No. This is not happening, okay? We're supposed to be theming our shit around Christmas shit, okay? You guys are fucking elves. You're elves. Get to work. Christmas is coming. It's just a week away. I quietly peeked outside. It didn't seem like anyone had heard me just now, so meh. Alright, now we're in the skipping montage. Maybe I should have... Oh, never mind. We're back. 2 hours prior. The light of the sunset bathed the hospital room in a vibrant orange. All was silent, as if time itself had stopped. Only a single person was present, completely still, as if asleep, sat a boy in a wheelchair. It was around the time of day where one would find nurses rushing around the hospital, serving patients with dinners, and yet no such signs of activity made their way to the room. A moment later, the silence was broken by the sound of a door opening. There she is! A lone girl entered the room. The boy in the wheelchair lifted his head to acknowledge her, but did not speak. For a moment, the girl hesitated at the entrance. Looking around the room, she could sense a faint aura of loneliness emanating from it. The drab-looking room was minimal in size and reeked of disinfectant. This was where the two of them spent their days. An isolated location, eternally unknown to the rest of humanity. Not a single soul, be they a doctor, nurse, friend, or relative, ever came to visit. The boy and girl rarely exchanged words with one another. The boy had been hospitalized and for a whole year had been comatose. Only just a month ago had he awoken. If we were elves, then you are Santa, and we haven't given you haven't given us our cookie wages. Listen. We're not, listen. We'll talk about this. Get your union rep, all right? We'll have the conversation. We'll have to set up a meeting for it. But why can't we trim clips anymore? You should still be able to. If you're doing the clips command, I don't think that trim lets you trim clips by default because it's just a stream elements bot that's just making a clip that's exactly a certain length. I think if you want to purposely make your own clips and have it trimmed a specific way, I think you have to press the clip button yourself. And then it will open a new tab that will let you adjust the length of the clip and like where it starts and stops. But if you do the clip command, I think it's just Stream Elements that makes a quick 30-second clip, I think. So I think that's probably why. I thought it was we had to make chat play Elf Bowling and beat Waluigi. What? Jesse, what the hell are you talking about? We had to make chat play Elf Bowling and beat Waluigi. Why can't I say Waluigi? Can I just not read? Again? Well, it's a good thing we decided to read visual novels. It's a good thing we decided to do that. The girl had been essentially using his room as a place to stay. However, as much as she did trust him, the relationship had nothing to do with any sort of romantic or sexual attractions. It's very important. You definitely had to point that out as soon as possible. You know, you don't want a case of the we're actually having feelings for this person in the wheelchair. You can't do that. Can't be implying that Takumi and Rimi are an item. Can't be doing that. Her only goal was to repay her debt to the boy. Nothing more, nothing less. The boy was intentionally cold and distant, having even told her not to return once before, yet all the same she remained. This was in part because she had nowhere else to go. During his coma, she had been his lone caretaker. The couch in the room had become her bed, and even now, after he had awoken, she still used it as such. So in the hit movie Elf Bowling, the elves were basically paid in games of bowling. When you say hit movie, do you know what that means? When you say the words hit movie and Elf Bowling, do you know what you're saying? Do you? Elf Bowling? That sounds peak, though, I won't lie. That sounds peak. She spoke with warmth and sincerity as she held out a bag of food she had brought from the convenience store. Her words scared away the static atmosphere and breathed new life into the dead world that surrounded them. The girl surrendered herself to such an illusion, but did not mention this to the boy as she laid several kinds of bread atop the empty bed. I'm joking about the hit part, chat. I know you are. I know you are. I'm going along with the bit, okay? Well, I guess I would be the what would you call that role in comedy? It's all part of comedy, okay? It's all part of comedy. Don't worry. We'll get Justin on the call, and he'll explain all about the comedy lessons he went to, and we'll go over this. We're very good at comedy here. This is a very entertaining show. You are very entertained.
もともと先は長くないから買ってこさせてごめん。いいの私の分のついでだから気にしないで。
She forced herself to smile at the boy. Then, taking an egg sandwich for herself, she moved toward the window. Upon opening the window, the crisp autumn breeze permeated the quiet hospital room. Comfortably greeted by the wind, the girl narrowed her eyes and perched nimbly on the windowsill. The room was located considerably high up. Imaginably, falling would mean certain death. This, however, hardly mattered to the girl, who simply took a hearty bite out of her sandwich. The boy in the wheelchair paid her no heed. He did not even attempt to reach for the bread laid out on the bed.
ねえ、もう一度聞くけど、本当に彼を覚醒させるつもり？うん。昨日チャットをしてみてはっきりした。のぞみはすでに彼に目をつけている。ノア2も完成間近だし、急がないと。
I love now that we've gone through all the main chapters and we understand who is who in the chat room there. Takumi has like two friends online. Grim, who is the nurse/psychopath killer, and Shogun, who is old man Takumi. He only talks to these two people in his chat room. This is all he talks to all day.
やるの。
そうだよ。
I'm surprised. He's met nobody else online that he could talk to that's not trying to ruin his life?
でもそれじゃ望みと変わらない。彼に恐怖を与えて追い詰めて。
彼しかいないんだ。
彼が覚醒すればあなたは死ぬのに。
最初から覚悟の上だよ。彼に全ての責任を押し付けようとしている僕には相応の罰だと思う。
The girl kept her gaze focused on the setting sun, not daring to look over her shoulder at the boy. Her countenance laid her emotions bare. She looked as if she might burst into tears at any moment.
彼を消すっていう選択肢はないかな。
そうなったら僕はまた1年以上昏睡する覚悟で。
He wants to say a whole speech?
その頃にはノア2は完成して世界には絶望が溢れているだろうけど。
Despite his gentle tone, his words were laced with a touch of cynicism. Upon hearing them, the girl couldn't help but let out a sigh.
私はあなたのやり方には反対だな。
ノア2を完成させるわけにはいかない。
It can't be allowed.
そうだけど彼の立場を考えたら悲しすぎるよ。それにあなたが自殺しようとしているのをむざむざ指をくわえて見ているわけにもいかないし。
自殺じゃないよ。
私が何とかする。
The boy finally moved a little, taken aback by the girl's abrupt yet resolute words.
なんとかって？
Finishing off the last of her sandwich, she stepped down from the windowsill, then turned to face him. Then, for some inexplicable reason, she snapped into a pose resembling that of a salute. It's the bishi.
私が望みから彼を守る。そうすればあなたは死なないから。
Thank you, Rimi, for your hard work and service.
彼が生まれ
Thank
た
you,
意味
Rimi.
がなくなるし、何の解決にもならない。ノア2が。
ノア2も私が何とかするって。
君には無理だよ。
もう決めたの。私はあなたを守るためにあなたと対立します。
I could wake up. I know I can do it. I can do it. She gave him a frail yet tender smile. At the sight of this, the boy lost any and all words he had. Stay hydrated? Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Oh, fuck, I don't have one.
新しい事件が起きるんだよね。
Gotta refresh. We gotta refill. We gotta refill.
予言じゃない。
Shit.
事実だよ。彼らの妄想を見たからね。
だったら彼をその事件に近づけさせないようにしなくちゃ。私ちょっと行ってくるね。
Dude, when does the music start again in this game? I'm missing the music. I'm missing the music right now. She
君が
approached the
邪魔を
door.
しても僕は予定通り彼を目覚めさせるよ。
As she opened the door, hearing the boy's words directed at her back, she paused for one final time. No signs of life came from the hallway. Not a single human being was in sight. And not a single sound reached the room.
ねえ、私たちって何なんだろう。誰にも存在を知られずにこ
So,
こにもう1年以上いる。
so if I remember correctly, so the old man, well, not old man, he looks like an old man. The wheelchair guy here is the original Nishijo Takumi. The Takumi that we are is a delusional otaku freak version of him that he made. But was Rimi also a delusion that he made? Was that what the lore was?
ここにいると自分っていう存在は幻なんじゃないかって思えてきちゃうの。ジメジメ気分になるのはやっぱり病院だからかな。
I got added in Discord and I go to check it and his Dango saying, "You are the mommy wolf and we are the wolf pups." in all caps. Dango. 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 You are not escaping the furry allegations. I did. You're all doing that. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I hate all of you. I hate all of you. No, I don't. You're not pups. You are not pups. Despite the boy's pleading, the girl did not look back.
パンちゃんと食べるんだよ。
After murmuring those last few words, the girl left the hospital room. Can I get music back? Alright, we're back to skipping. We're skipping along. Oh, this is new. She, too, had heard that sound. Before, there had been a strange whirring sound, like something tearing its way through the air. Soon after she heard it, she discovered its origin, a rucksack worn by a nearby suspicious-looking person. When she attempted to pursue them, however, they escaped. That was when she heard another sound echoing in the distance, the shrill sound of stakes being nailed into a wall. And, though faint, the whirring sound from before could still be heard as well. The two sounds resonated in grating harmony. Grating harmony. Creating the illusion that her ears may still bleed at any moment. Or may start bleeding at any moment.
手遅れだった。
Lightly biting her lip, she sprinted toward the source of the sound, and there her eyes landed upon... See, look, he's fine. He's just hanging in there. All the stakes are in his clothes. He's not... Okay, well, some of those look like they're definitely in his body parts. He's fine. A corpse affixed to the wall by several cross-shaped stakes. Startled, she surveyed her surroundings. Though she'd loathed to admit it, the status of the victim did not matter to her in the slightest. If granted the opportunity, she would naturally have preferred to save him. But it was much too late, and now there were more important matters at hand. She couldn't let Nishijo Takumi see this place. She couldn't let him be consumed by fear. Where could he be? With that on her mind, she returned her gaze to the corpse. That looks far more graphic than what we saw before. Like, insanely more graphic. She was at a loss for words. She had only looked away for a second, and yet, in the short time, countless stakes had gruesomely mutated the corpse. Just a moment ago, there had only been a few stakes on the wall, just enough to suspend the corpse in midair. There hadn't even been any external injuries, let alone blood. And now a grisly spectacle lay before her eyes. The sight of it left her reeling in horror, frantically fighting to endure her nausea. Her vision distorted as uncertainty seized her heart.
妄想が現実を侵食してる。
God, you hope that's the case. In that moment, the girl came to notice that the changes did not end there. It was you! Her clothes were different. She was wearing a uniform unfamiliar to her from a school she didn't recognize. In addition, her body was stained with crimson, and in her hand was a stake.
嘘。
You just got framed via delusions.
妄想がシンクロを。
Yeah, get fucked. Someone's delusion had edited the scene around her. The gruesome corpse, her clothes, the rich scarlet blood. Was any of it real?
違う。
It couldn't possibly be real. There was no stench of blood. She couldn't feel the icy chill of the metal stake in her hand. Or she couldn't feel, yeah. She put her hand to her bloody cheek, and it came away dry. She carefully reached for one of the stakes, planted in the body, and when she tried to grab it, her hand grasped nothing but air. Everything was a delusion, a far, far too vivid delusion. But at any moment, the delusion could become reality. It had already taken form. Once real booted, it would merge with reality. What was she to do? The girl was overtaken by doubt. A delusional space like this, oozing negativity, was well beyond anything she was used to dealing with. Such a powerful deluder may have already taken Nishijo Takami's life. She might suddenly find Takami pinned to the wall in this man's place. At this point, it would not even surprise her. Driven by anxiety, she let out a soft cry, and right at that moment... Takami, now's not the time. Takami, now's not the time to discover the scene, Takami. This is very... the terrified scream of a boy resounded from behind her. We can explain. And then we skip those scenes. Okay. Alright. We are on our way. We have to go to chapter 8. Another new scene already. Or we just... Maybe this is why they had us do it last, because there's probably a shit ton of Rimi scenes. The vast majority of the nurses at Yoyogi General Hospital were out making their rounds. Only one could still be found sitting alone at the nurse's station. She stared at a laptop with a deadpan expression on her face. Despite not being on break, she was in the middle of a phone call. It did not seem to matter to her in the slightest that she was violating her work's policy on cell phone usage. Reflected in her blank eyes was a certain chat log shining brightly on the computer screen before her. This is the nurse, just kind of going crazy and trolling us, maybe? But she's supposed to be Grim in the chat. She's Grim, not Shogun. Most like you don't know that Neidhart is Takami yet? Speaking on the other end of the call was a man. It was clear from how they spoke to one another that the conversation had nothing to do with work. Okay, so she's referring to Shogun. Technically speaking, she's probably monitoring Neidhart because they know that's the delusion Takami, and now Shogun's been entering the chat. So now she recognizes, because he knows the formula, this must be the real Takami. Okay. I'd let her stab me. I probably would too. Hazuki is hot. I'll say it. I'll say what we're all thinking. With a mechanical flick of her wrist, the nurse moved the mouse with the intention of copying the log. However, she suddenly stopped, her brow furrowed. What on earth? The nurse ignored the man's question, narrowing her eyes as she brought her face closer to the screen. The screen still displayed the chat logs. However, something seemed different from a few seconds prior. Something had changed. An impossibility, considering they were logs, not real-time conversations. And yet, even though everything had felt perfectly normal a moment ago, something felt incredibly out of place now. I don't know if Chiyomaru understands this. Like, I don't know if he understands this, but you can absolutely have logs be changed. I don't know if he understands this concept, though. Yeah, the timestamps are changed, sure. But also, this might just be a dogshit website that doesn't understand time zones properly. Or it's just getting it wrong. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think we would just assume this is delusion bullshit work. The man understood how absurd her claim was. What do you mean? It's not that absurd. What? And the voice on the other end of the call became much lower. So he's a hacker. He's not a delusion guy at all. That's what you should be assuming. And then doing that makes Yua think that we are Shogun, which she wasn't really wrong in the end. She wasn't wrong. No more yawning, wakey wake, time to water. Stop waterboarding me! That's fucked up and evil. Motherfucker. Suddenly a sense of uneasiness crept up the back of Shino's neck. Covering her nape with her hand, she turned to face the source of the gaze. but there was nobody there. Not a single soul could be found within the nurse stations.
信仰の救いあれ
Divine light, save us. Let me adjust the mic here. Hello, Mike. Hello, Michael phone. Shino murmured those words of prayer to herself, hoping they would sweep the fear away. Okay, there we go. We can skip now. Okay, now we get to take a break for a long time, right? We get to take a long break, right? We won't have to deal with another... We won't have to deal with another scene every 5 seconds? I appreciate new scenes. I just don't want them every 5 seconds. I don't even think we're done with chapter 1 yet. Okay. We are skipping along. We're zooming. We're zooming. Oh, I'm just checking something. I'm checking something while we skip, so that I don't have to pause later on to do a thing. Let me... I have to check everything in the world. Give me 1 second. Okay, alright. Zooming along. Negative. I said, oh, are you really not going to do it? You're not going to... There you go. Wait, I have to check another thing. Where the fuck did the thing go? I was looking at the thing. Oh, alright. What do we think is going to happen with the Rimi route? What are we hoping for here? Do we think she's gonna fucking kill us? Are we gonna get you a woman who's gonna just fucking kill you? Are we gonna have that happen? Because we're already guessing Takumi's gonna die, but how is he gonna die? She's already killed him at the end of like 2 routes, right? At least. Why not a third? Why not a third? Oh, sorry. This is what happens when I look away, okay? Alright, it doesn't matter. We're not going to get different results than we normally do, so we'll just do all this. Boom. Oh, wait, by the way, did we get any new tips from the last thing we did? We already read this. And this. Why does it say we didn't read them before? You are extremely delusional! I'm pretty sure we read this before. Yeah, we did. Wait, no. Are we? Wait, did we read this before? Okay, no, I don't think we did read this before, so we'll read this. Hold on. 1 second. Okay. That should make it so that I won't have to pause to deal with something later on. Okay. Diagnostic results. You are extremely delusional. We always knew. You are likely subjected to nothing but painful things in your everyday life. I can understand why you would want to avert your eyes from such a reality. However, you are not yet ready to fully surrender yourself to these delusions, for you still believe that you will someday be able to return to reality and live a fulfilling life. Do you ever find it difficult to distinguish between delusions and reality? This is not a good position to be in, as it's dangerous for your delusions to affect reality. The time for you to make a decision is drawing near. Will you gather your resolve and devote yourself to your delusions, or will you strive for the faint wisp of hope that you may return to reality. A word from Rimi. From this point forward, I don't want you to have any more delusions. I know all too well that reality is full of pain, but that's exactly what makes all the good, happy moments so irreplaceable. So please come back. Come back to reality, okay? Come back. Come back. A word from Kozue. Himsies, how to go fully delusional? Well, first I try to talk to anybody at all, and then that's it. I just try not to talk to anybody at all. If you do that, then you have no choice but to have a whole bunches of delusions. Some delulus. Thank you, Kozue. And thank you, Rimi, for giving us the warning. Hello, Andy. We have been diagnosed with extremely delusional. That's what we've been diagnosed with. I don't know if I agree with the diagnosis. I don't think I'm delusional at all. There's so many things on the screen. What the hell? You ever heard of a visual novel? You ever heard of a tip screen on a visual novel? That's what that was. That's what that was. But we're done with that. Okay, we're skipping along. We're skipping along. Skipping along. Also, how's it going? How's it going? The Nyan Bacon. Not just any Nyan Bacon. The Nyan Bacon. That's not what I'm referring to, and you know it. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. This is just a normal stream. Yes, that was the hot segs lady. That was in fact the hot segs lady. That was her. But this is not her route. So I don't know how much she's going to be in this as we play through. I don't know how much. How often. It's okay. She's on the top right of the screen. Okay, so she's there. She gets to live there. I mostly just popped in to say hi. I still have like 60 pages of reading to get done and a tension headache. I was just taking a break. Can't stick around, unfortunately. I have to go read Middle English. Well, good luck with that. Don't die. Don't die. You're not allowed to die until after we're done reading Umineko. At the very least, you can't die until then. That's in the rules. It's in the contract. You signed that when you started being a part of the book club streams. Not allowed to die. So, don't die. Yeah, it's in red. It's in red. It's in red text, so you can't die. Yeah. Yeah, you get it. You get it. You get it. Maybe Umineko would be considered Middle English, you know, in a way. Maybe. Maybe. You also can't die until you reach Dorohedoro. True! True, you can't die until then, too. That means you're never gonna die. You're never gonna die. That was the secret to immortality all along. Yeah, that's one way to be immortal. That's the secret. The immortal bacon. Okay, we gotta get to chapter 8, but the skipping takes a while. Luckily, we don't have new scenes every 5 seconds like we were towards the beginning. Although I feel like we'll get to a point later on where it's going to give us that again. Because Rimi's trying to, like, reveal to it. There was a whole bunch of scenes with her in hospitals and stuff that we did. Oh, here's a new scene. Sakihara Rimi remained expressionless as she moved forward. She was walking down one of the Suimei Academy's many hallways. This one lined with classrooms for second-year students. She was not accustomed to wearing a uniform, as this was her first time setting foot in this place. She paid no mind to all the other students in her vicinity. However, her apparent composure was a mere facade, one intended to desperately conceal a boiling pot of unease within her. Her somewhat awkward march through the halls betrayed this, but as she proceeded towards her destination, she kept her head held high all the same. Soon enough, she had reached room 2C. She already knew the answer. This was Nishijo Takami's class. She placed her hand on the closed door. Only then did she realize that her fingers were trembling. On a normal day, I would have wanted to come here. Such a desire crossed her mind for a moment, but she stopped her delusions from progressing any further. After taking a small breath, she vigorously slid the door open. Mina, ohayo! Her stoic expression faded, as if it never existed in the first place to begin with. The classroom before her was remarkably cheerful and overflowing with energy. She lifted her right hand to her forehead, snapping into the pose of a salute. Rimi's greeting resounded throughout the classroom, and the classroom fell as silent as death itself. Class had not started yet, so the room was about half full, but everyone that was there was looking her way, visibly puzzled. And for good reason. Nobody in this class, nobody in the school, knew who she was. And for that very reason, Rimi had to make sure she drew everyone's attention. She drew her D sword, and yet not a soul reacted. The sword... Oh no, we're going to get the massacre arc again. The sword, with blades arranged like inflexible feathers, was still a delusion. It was visible to no one. Wait, did I disconnect? Wait, are we still live? Hello? Okay, we are. Okay, Twitch chat just went weird on me. Twitch chat just went weird on me, but we're good. Ads are apparently about to start. We're gonna not continue this, and we're gonna have the ads go, and then we'll be back. I don't want to deal with some ads in some cases, when like we're skipping around or whatever, we can just ignore the ads, but in this case we will. So, I'll see you guys in 3 minutes. Stay safe. Okay, so I've noticed something. I had an alert, a notification on Twitch. And it said, achievement complete. People know me too. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck does that mean? And I guess it's an achievement for having like 112 people or something. What does it say? Have 250 viewers at the same time. I don't remember. Oh no, that's for number 3. It says the highest we've had for viewers at the same time was apparently 112, and then I've hit this recently. I don't remember this happening. I don't remember having 100 viewers at the same time. But supposedly this happened. Oh, you know what? When was it? No, I thought that was a while ago. It might have been the last time Lidzy rated us. Oh, sorry, I did my shadow clone jutsu. That makes sense. Oh yeah, because it's only showing me the achievements in progress. Is it showing me the ones that completed? Oh, here it is. Have 100 viewers at the same time. Does it say when you completed it? It says I completed it on September 12th. Maybe it was Lidzy, because maybe I was playing Halo, and maybe Lidzy rated. It might not have been. It might have been that. I don't know. I don't know if that should count from a raid. I don't know if that should count if it's from a raid. But whatever. Anyways, let's continue going here. For her purposes, however, that was enough. Go forth, my delusion. She fired her thoughts at the eyes of those gazing at her. Then, as if it had somehow been planned beforehand, everyone blinked in unison. And then, all at once, the room's frozen atmosphere thawed. Rimi looked around the room once more, and then a smile formed on her face. Your popular times are here? True. Ohayo.
Ohayo, Sakihata.
Oh yeah, of course, Sakihata. Yeah, we all know you. Yeah, morning, Sakihata. Yeah.
Rimi, 朝っぱらから声大きすぎ。
Best friend Rimi, what's up?
もっと静かに入ってこいよな。
One after another, each student spoke to her like they had always known her. Even though, until mere seconds ago, they had never seen her before. But it was different now. Rimi had planted delusions into them, delusions that soon attained mutual recognition. Recognition that Sakihata Rimi is a student at Suimei Academy and is a member of Class 2C. You ever just walk into a random room full of people and just gaslight all of them at once? Just every single one of them? You ever just do that? 2 days prior, she had tested this trick on Nishijo Taku. But it had proved to be not very effective. As a result, she had been worrying over how exactly it would unfold when she tried it here. But it seemed her anxiety had been unfounded. After seeing those smiles of the chattering classmates, she heaved a sigh of relief. She recalled her D-sword, and approached an empty seat from a vacant row in the back of the room. This desk was another delusion she had created. What? She invented a desk behind Takumi? She placed her big brown... what? No, bag down. What is wrong with me? Is a stroke happening? Is it happening now? She placed her bag down, but rather than sitting, she turned to face the boy approaching her.
Yo, Rimi.
Hey, best friend Misumi.
Yo, Misumi Daisuke. Misumi Daisuke. Misumi Daisuke.
Yeah, best friend Misumi Daisuke. We've known each other forever. That's your name, right? Misumi Daisuke? Misumi Daisuke. Yes, of course. Best friend Misumi Daisuke. Rimi spoke his name 3 times to ensure her certainty.
なんで3回言った？しかもフルネーム。
And my whole name, too.
そういう気分だったからだよ。大地。
Ah, there you go. Misumi was Taku's friend. In addition to being quite handsome, he clearly put care into the way he dressed. Rimi did not know how his friendship with Taku had come to be, but perhaps Takumi was responsible, fabricating this friendship through delusions. Or perhaps Mizumi and Taku truly had formed a genuine friendship on their own, with no outward interference. The cause mattered not. All that mattered was that he and Taku were friends. Rimi's delusion had already implanted fresh memories within him.
タクは
まだ来てねえな。っていうか、今日はあいつ来る日か？
多分ね。
さすが、タクの保護者だな。
His
あいつの
babysitter.
スケジュールをちゃんと把握してるなんてよ。
Rimi wore a strained smile. It was a smile formed from feelings of guilt. Everyone's memories had been altered with delusions. This would remain Rimi's secret, with nobody else suspecting a thing. Those around her would act friendly with her. However, nothing could change the fact that these relationships had been crafted from falsehoods. She had thought that she had become completely accustomed to loneliness by now. But, by placing herself in this classroom, she was subjecting herself to desolation stronger than ever before. Teehee, I just gaslit everyone. BC. Alright, now we can skip along again. Whew! Why am I so tired when we barely played this shit? Long day, I guess. Long day. I shouldn't even say it was a long day. I just went to the fucking movies. And then I watched more movies when I came home. It's a long day of watching movies. What can I say? No! I actually skipped to the neutral. We're gonna have to read a new scene. Who was it? Maybe it really was the police. It couldn't be Misumi-kun or the demon girl. They'd both been right in front of me when I'd gotten the call. If it wasn't, then the only other possibility would be Yua? But she shouldn't have known my phone number. And besides, there was nothing else for us to talk about. Time to just get it over with and listen to it. I examined my surroundings, making sure the demon girl wasn't there, and then put the phone to my ear. And then we skip. I have to go to bed, actually. I have silly important stuff to do tomorrow. That's fine. Perfectly fine. I started the stream late, so it's fully understandable. If any of you guys gotta go to bed, don't worry about this stuff. I'll just do the reading. You guys can watch the VODs tomorrow if you were interested to see what the fuck happens with Rimi. Otherwise, be ready. Tomorrow night, we will be doing the true ending of Chaos and Noah. The end is here. I don't have my Japanese lesson tomorrow. I had to move it to Thursday for this week. So, we can start whenever I turn out to have the time, which I think I have scheduled for like 7 o'clock. Bye, Chad. Bye, Board. Bye, Shadow. Have a good stream. Thank you, Dango. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Have a good rest. I will stay. Don't worry. I'll stay hydrated. I'll stay hydrated. I hydrated for you. Okay, I hydrated. Stop waterboarding me. Bam, 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 bam. Oh my god. How long do we think Rimi's route's gonna be? How long? How long do we think? We have to get to chapter 8. What chapter are we on now? Probably like 6. We haven't gotten to the jumping off the roof of the building yet. Oh, we're about to get to ISA explaining the delusion stuff. We're about to get there. ISA Putting on the swimsuit. There's the hot sex lady. If Dango was here, Dango would be saying that. Okay, chapter 5. Oh, boy. Oh, just sit back and just wait, I guess. Okay, maybe if I have a butterscotch. Okay, maybe the butterscotch will give me a second wind here, okay? Maybe the butterscotch will be the energy I need. If I can get it open. Or, as soon as I put this in my mouth, it's gonna tell me to read a whole bunch of shit. That might happen. Alright. Alright. We will eventually make our way there. I can't believe it actually takes, like, about an hour before you actually start the routes from the skipping. It's actually insane. Okay, there's probably going to be new scenes related to Rimi at the hospital. That's probably going to be a thing after the big earthquake later on. Or no, not after the earthquake. After ISA tries to jump off. It's probably going to be that. You ready? You ready for the new scene? You ready for the new scene? Are you ready for it? It's almost here. I can feel it. You ready for it? New scene coming. Very soon. 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay, it's not coming. It's not coming. The scene's not coming. Scene's not coming. Never mind. I don't know shit. Alright, let's stop Takumi from killing himself. Let's stop him from killing himself. Immediately picks the delusion where he kills himself. But let's stop him from actually killing himself. Live, bitch. I saw a sword. You sure did. I distinctly saw a sword. Yeah, you sure did. If I move, no, you don't want to move. You will die if you move. You see the surf place? No, you can't. You gotta be here. It's not actually a sword. Yes, it's not actually a sword. Okay, we're good. Oh. Standing in the center of a dimly lit room, Sakihata Rimi hung her head, remaining deathly still. The room's owner, Nishijo Taku, was not currently present. He had not locked the door before he left, so Rimi had easily been able to enter. She checked the time on her cell phone. It was nearly 10 p.m. Is Taku still at Scramble Crossing? If she had been able, she would have helped him straight away. She had already attempted to once before, but the closer she had gotten to Scramble Crossing, the denser the crowd had become, and eventually she had been rendered unable to move. In the end, the Esper Boys show had concluded before she'd reached O-Front. It was then that she had heard Takumi's voice. He pleaded with her to return Nanami's hand. It was not often that Takumi would ask Rimi for a favor. Nozomi had kidnapped Nanami, and they were currently subjecting her to all manner of torture. Takumi had been able to locate her using his mind-reading abilities. As she and Nanami had been acquainted in the past, hearing this news broke Rimi's heart. The cardboard box sat on the sofa. Contained within it was a cell phone, a petite bangle, and Nanami's severed hand. The sight left Rimi at a loss for words. Concern, anguish, and sorrow overwhelmed her. All at once, memories of her own past hardships flashed through her mind. Forcefully biting her lip, Rimi stared at her hand for a few moments. And then, with a deep breath, she gently closed the lid of the box, sealed it with duct tape, and left the room with the package in tow. Rimi took out her cell phone and connected to the 1SEG television broadcasting service. The events at Scramble Crossing had been on the news earlier, so she tuned into it, hoping to confirm something. But when the channel came on, it was in the midst of a commercial break, which must have meant that they were not broadcasting live anymore. In other words, Taku must not have been at Scramble Crossing anymore. Knowing this, Rimi reluctantly returned to the hospital room she shared with Takumi. 1SEGs? Dude, Dango would be having a field day with that if they were here. Yo, there he is. There's Taku. I'm sorry, that's Takumi. There's Taku, who's our boy, and Takumi, who's this guy. The lights were off. The room was as pitch black as when she had left it. The bed was empty, as Takumi was sitting in his wheelchair instead, something that Rimi had become accustomed to.
ナナミの腕は
持ってきた。
Rimi opened the box and presented it to Takumi.
ありがと
直せるかな？直せるよね。
う。わからない。でもこの病院なら冷凍保存しておける設備がある。
Of course, freezing it would be better than nothing, but there was no guarantee that it could ever be returned to her. That was what his eyes conveyed to her.
大丈夫。きっと治るよ。
Rimi boldly declared this with a positive flair.
きっと治るって信じる。もっともその前にナナミちゃんを助け出さなきゃいけないけど。
ナナミは殺されることはないと思う。焦って動くことはないよ。
冷静なんだね。ごめん。今言った言葉は忘れ。それよりタクは今どこにいるかわかる？
この病院に搬送されてきたよ。精神科の病室で眠ってる。
そうなの？
Rimi's eyes widened and she immediately burst out of the room. Oh, she's going. She's going to his room right now. Visiting hours had long since ended, forcing Rimi to conceal the sound of her footsteps as she traversed the dim hallways. She knew that both Nozomi and the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light were among the hospital staff, and she could not afford to attract any unwanted attention. Following a long and arduous trek, she arrived at the room that Takumi had informed her of. Upon inspecting her surroundings to ensure she would not be seen, she slowly opened the door. The room was pure white, the entirety providing not even the slightest hint of warmth. Rimi silently approached the bed in the center of the room. Taku lay there, sleeping deeply, His forehead beaded with sweat, his eyebrows were furrowed, and a moan would occasionally escape his lips. Rimi reached out towards Taku's cheek and gently caressed it.
ごめんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
Unable to withhold her emotions any longer, she whispered that into his ear. And now we're skipping again. Back to skipping delusions. Hello, Kosupi. How's it going, Kosupi? You kill anybody today, Kosupi? Any murder going on, Kosupi? No? No murder? Okay. We're making our way very slowly through this dumb shit. It's not dumb. I didn't mean to say that. I'm just tired. Don't worry about that. We're making our way through so that we can actually start the ending. We're not there yet. Am I really out of water again already? 'Chapter 8. Right? Is that what that said? So then after this, we'll be locked into it. Oh, wait. This is the chapter that has the hospital scene that I was predicting. This is the one. Okay, hospital scene with Rimi. New scene is gonna happen in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, that's not here, because I have to pick a thing here. It's gonna happen in
どこ行ったんだ
Did I not pick negative here before? Oh, that must have been it. Where the hell did she run off to?
さあ
The window was open. Wind blew against the white curtains, sending them fluttering in the breeze. I absentmindedly approached the window. Not because I planned to look at anything in particular, nor because I intended to close the window. It was an action without intention. I just started moving. I stood right before the window, and when I went to look up at the sky, a figure flashed by. Without so much as a sound, someone fell from above. And for a split second, I made eye contact with them. Ah! ISA jump scare. The figure quickly vanished. And right after they did, a fierce crash reverberated from below.
なんだ
I sank to the floor. My body started trembling all over. What had just fallen? But I already knew the answer to that question. Kishimoto Ayase. She had fallen from above and plummeted to the ground. She would almost certainly be there if I looked down. Sprawled out on the ground, covered in blood, gray matter scattered everywhere. Our eyes had met the very instant before she died. The last person Ayase had seen had been me. The last person to see Ayase alive had been me. Upside down Ayase jump scare. Closer to a groan than anything, a scream gushed forth from my mouth. And right at that moment, my mind broke.
見ろよタク変な本があるぞ
I suddenly realized Misumi-kun was calling me. I was standing by the window, but in the corner of the hospital room. Freaked out, I rushed to the window and looked down. Phew, it had just been a delusion, huh? It felt like my knees were about to give out any second, so I grabbed the windowsill to keep myself standing. Alright, back to skipping around. New Rimi scene. 3, 2, 1, 0. -1. -2. -3. -4. Okay. Okay. New Rimi scene. New Rimi scene in 3, 2, 1. Okay, that doesn't count. This might trigger a new scene, but it won't count. Okay, it won't count. No, okay. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, again. Doesn't count. Never mind. We're not getting the new fucking scene. We're not getting the new scene that I'm predicting. It's not happening. Alright. We made it to the Rimi route chapter. We're officially there. We are in this shit. Alright. Aoi Senna's eyes. Wait, it didn't say Senna. It just said Aoi-san's. Give me... Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay, we can continue. I had to mentally reset myself, okay? Because now we're officially starting this thing, and I do not want to be dead tired the whole time, so I have mentally reset myself. We are ready to go. We are locked in. We are locked in. We are locked in now that we've started this. Aoi-san's eyes shot wide open at the sight of my D-sword. Her blow had been fairly quick, but stopping it had been hardly any trouble. Our D-swords resonated with one another, releasing a shrill cry that enveloped the two of us. I could feel Aoi-san's negative emotions, her fury, her hatred, coming forth through her D-sword. Wowie zowie! Behind me, Taku sank to the floor in shock. Okay, so we're from Rimi's perspective right now, okay. In that state, it would be impossible to get him to escape at this point. So I had no choice but to deal with Aoi-san somehow.
その男が何をしたか知って IR2 という公式を知ってるよ
Oh, I know. I cut Aoi-san short. I didn't want Taku to even hear its name.
それならタクを覚醒させればもっと大変なことになるその前に殺すあなたには無理だよ
Aoi-san was incredibly aggressive, but she fundamentally misunderstood how a D-sword should have been used. Her attacks were far too straightforward, far too impulsive. Treating her sword as just a simple sword would translate only to a little kid swinging around a tree branch. There was a distinct difference between someone who had properly instructed on how to wield it and an ordinary high school girl. Dealing with her would be child's play.
西条は死ぬべき男だ
Nishido must die.
この世に最悪を振りまいたんだから
A goddamn calamity. Aoi-san had been consumed by hatred. Her negative delusions were clearly visible to me. Pouring out from within her, they transformed into a hulking black miasma and forcibly pierced into my dead spots. Aoi-san couldn't have been doing it consciously. However, they wouldn't normally be visible to just anyone she faced. This was a characteristic unique to gigalomaniacs. When facing another human, it was possible to make that surge of emotions visible, and with that, you could lay all their emotions bare. I focused my attention on the images that were forcefully being projected into and eroding my mind, the emotions that fueled Aoi-san's hatred, her memories. Okay, so yeah, because she sends the delusion to her. I could see them. Her pain, her sorrow, her memories of the past that tormented her. Now we get to do the gaslighting, and using those memories, I glared at Aoi-san and formed a delusion. I fabricated a fictitious scene that would twist the knife in her wounds. A shudder ran through her body. Slowly lowering her sword, she then froze completely. Her expression showed she was clearly shaking. Her eyes were empty. She was no longer looking at me, nor reality. She was now inside the delusion that I had fabricated. But I had just given her a clue. But I had just given her a cue. The rest of the story was of her own making, guided by her own obsession. And now Aoi-san could no longer fight. Easy. Easy. I jumped. I could feel a voice reverberating within my mind. Now that you've made a messy mess out of Sena-shan's head, what will you do? Do you care if we do? I looked over toward the container house. Oh shit, she's armed. A sword of many facets. What is a facet? No, it's facets. Many facets. An overwhelming sense of corrosive misfortune, a pure, unadulterated savagery, and a destructive nobility. It was Orihara-san's D-sword. Not the baddie list. Not the baddie list. Is this like Santa's naughty list? Upon lifting her D-sword high up in the air, Orihara-san smiled cheerfully at me.
私は
殺せ
All of a sudden, Taku raised his voice to a shriek.
セナもコズピーも敵なんだ敵だったんだだからリミ殺しちゃえよ
Takumi, kill them all! Kill them! Or no, not Takumi. Rimi! Rimi, kill them all! Please!
僕は死にたくない
A little pathetic Taku.
ちょっと黙ってはーいリスト入り
And plus 2! Orihara-san twists her lips into a smile.
二人とも殺しちゃうから
She's gonna kill us both, Z's. Oh shit. It came like a storm. The sheer speed at which she charged at me was simply inhuman. She was taken by surprise. Orihara-san's D-sword came down on me like a stake being pounded into the earth. I immediately jumped back, but the impact was so strong, I was blown back anyway. I somehow managed to land on my feet. Next came a horizontal swing. I tried to deflect it with my sword. But I failed. I ended up taking the blow head on. My arms went completely numb.
死ね死ね
Orihara-san charged at me with unbelievable strength. I had no room to counterattack. How is she so adept at fighting? Despite her small frame, Orihara-san swung her giant D-sword around with no issue at all. Her footwork was wild and unsteady. Each step she took was incredibly unstable. Her feet were barely touching the ground. Rather than she being the one swinging the sword, it felt as if the sword was swinging her.
秋畑さんも匠さんも悪い人だったんだね二人とも殺しますタクは殺させない
As I desperately deflected Orihara-san's blows, just as I had done before with Senna, I focused on the negative emotions pouring out from within her. Oh shit. The image that appeared in the back of my mind was a mirror. Wasting no time, I sent that delusion to Orihara-san's dead spots. Get her, take her out, take her out. Orihara-san's movements came to a sudden halt. Tears began to pour from her eyes. I let out a sigh of relief. I had to get Taku out of here while I still could. That was when I noticed. I couldn't see Aoi-san anywhere. I looked all around the rooftop and saw her standing at the very edge of it. I frantically took off running. Before I could reach her, her body slowly drifted forward, and then she disappeared over the edge. Rimi! Rimi, what did you do? Rimi! Rimi! Rimi killed Senna! The sound of something crashing into the ground. Sound of something smashing against the earth. I heard it faintly in the distance. Had she died? Had Aoi-san died? Because of the delusion I showed her? It was a prank, I swear, teehee. No, I didn't mean to. And now Kozue is gonna kill herself too. A fierce blast of wind came from behind me. The impact was tremendous. Felt like I had been hit by a truck. I felt my brain being shaken around inside my skull. Unable to brace myself beforehand, I was sent flying. Hit the ground hard, and a sharp pain shot through my entire body. I hadn't been cut in any way, but I had taken an extremely hard blow from her fiendish D-sword. My vision was intensely blurry. I tried to get up, but I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't tell who I was anymore. I might have suffered a light concussion. I tried desperately to look up.
私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰
Watashi wa dare? Watashi wa dare? Watashi wa dare? Orihara-san was staggering around, cradling her head in her hands. She violently shook it from side to side. Had the delusion I showed her made her lose sight of who she was?
私は誰なの誰なの
She was moving toward Taku. She was going to kill him. Why didn't she run away? Why are you still there? I had to help him. I closed my fists. But my D-sword wasn't in my hand. I had accidentally let go of it when I'd been hit by the blast earlier. It was lying on the ground a short distance away from me. Oh, she mad. Kozue is angry. That's anger, Kozupi. Taku is crying out for my help. I have to save him. I won't let anyone kill him. But I'm too far away. I won't make it. Orihara-san had already raised her D-sword. Taku would die in an instant. He had sunk to his knees and could no longer move. In less than a second, he would literally be crushed by her D-sword. I have to save him. No matter what I do, I won't make it. Numerous voices surged within me. My thoughts grew erratic. Countless me's pierced me with their gazes. From inside my head, countless me's whispered with their mouths. The whispers continued to cascade, pooling together into a violent flood of voices, each one gnawing away at any and all reason I had. I desperately stood up, but I couldn't do any more than that. I won't make it. I gritted my teeth. Taku's going to die. Kill her. Kill Orihara Kozue. If I can protect him, then nothing else matters. No, it's not like that. Kill her. Wouldn't it be better if Taku died here? Kill Orihara Kozue. Kill Nishijo Takumi. That's the wish of both Sakihara Rimi and Takumi, isn't it? You're wrong. Before I knew it, the D-sword was in my hands. It was supposed to be on the ground, yet I was holding it. I felt the sensation of gouging flesh. I didn't know how I'd close the distance between me and Orihara-san, but when I looked, I saw that the D-sword I'd been holding in my hands had sunk deep into her delicate back. I was resisting against a will of some kind. I had no intention of killing her. Or was this really my own will? My true nature? Orihara-san looked back at me with an empty expression on her face. This is wrong. I don't want to kill her. If I don't stop, my D-sword wriggled and squirmed. If it had a will of its own, it trembled with joy, with the joy of taking a life, the delight of bathing in blood. I frantically shook my head in denial. My D-sword's wings, its fangs, creaked loudly as they bored into Orihara-san's back. Even now, it was trying to gnaw into her and tear her apart. I tried pulling it out, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't even let go of my sword. Orihara-san coughed up blood, and when it landed on my sword, and dyeing it red, as if it was a pair of wings spreading, it twisted itself deep into Orihara-san's body and tore her apart. Blood burst into the air, and the petite girl who had been alive just a second ago transformed into nothing but mere lumps of flesh. Crimson illusory feathers poured down around me. Seeking desperately for someone to save me, I looked around. Taku was staring at me as if he'd seen a monster. I mean, this is what Taku was asking for, too. Taku was literally asking for that. But I killed them anyway. And it was all a delusion. We got Uno reversed. Or not. Or not. We just skipped to a different time. Both Senna and Kozupi were dead. They died right before my very eyes. And Rimi had been the one to kill them. Okay, so now we're talking to me. Right now, she was lying down on the sofa, sleeping. After Cosby had died, she'd started trembling, let out a scream, then immediately lost consciousness. I hadn't even been able to stand up for a while from the shock. I'd been scared shitless. My fear kept building and building, and eventually I couldn't stand to look at Cosby's bloody corpse any longer, so I got up, carried Rimi to my room, and shut us in. She would occasionally let out a pained moan, but no matter how many times I called her name, she wouldn't regain consciousness. So I just sat down, hugged my knees, and waited for Rimi to wake up. There wasn't much I could do about my trembling. Santa and Cosby had just died after all. Unlike the new gen victims, they were far from being complete strangers. I knew them, talked to them, spent time with them. Just yesterday, the three of us had eaten Crunchy Coons together, Santa, Cosby, and I. When I saw the photo of the three of us in it, I bit my lip. It didn't matter how much I wanted to forget it. That scene, ripped straight from a nightmare, played again and again in the back of my mind. Cosby's vivid crimson blood, the slimy, sickly texture of the glistening bones sticking out from her body, her emotionless eyes that lost all light, and the indiscernible fear and sickness I'd felt in the moment where I saw another person cease to be a person. The moment when her slender body had been ripped apart and had been burned into my retinas. In that moment, I learned how frail people truly were. I felt like I was about to throw up, and if I did end up doing so, that would make it the 4th time I'd puked. What had ended up happening to Senna? This was an 8-story building, having fallen all the way from the... This was an 8-story building, having fallen all the way from the roof. There was no way she'd make it out unscathed. She'd probably, definitely died. The two of them were both dead. I couldn't believe it. It couldn't be real. It had to be a dream. A nightmare. Yeah, that was the only explanation. Dying in such a horrific way. If that wasn't already enough, it was Rimi who had killed them. I didn't want to believe it. There was no way I could. But it was the truth. I didn't understand why Santa and Cosby had suddenly turned hostile and tried to attack me. She had said something about IR2. It probably had something to do with my essay from back when I was a kid, but I couldn't care less about that now. After that, Rimi had been revealed to be a gigglomaniac, something that, honestly, hadn't surprised me much. But then, she fought to protect me. She might have gone too far, sure, but there was no way I was going to hold a grudge over that. Still, if things stayed like this, both Rimi and I would get caught by the police. Senna and Cosby's corpses were just lying around out there. Eventually, someone would find them and notify the police. I couldn't get caught, as if I'd ever let that happen. I could just tell the truth. I hadn't killed anyone after all. Rimi had. And besides, Senna and Cosby had attacked me first, so that had to count legally as self-defense. But I was well aware that none of that would work. Back when the cruxifixion case had happened, I'd almost been named the culprit. There was no doubt in my mind that it would go the exact same way this time. Moreover, I needed Rimi. If she didn't exist, if she wasn't here to protect me from the threat of Shogun, I would be completely fucked. So when I learned the truth that she was a gigglomaniac, I hadn't been horrified. If anything, I'd welcomed it. She wasn't powerless. She wasn't just a naive high schooler. She was my ally, one who even wielded the power to protect me from Shogun. That was why I wanted her to wake up so badly, and sooner rather than later. I'd get her to erase Senna and Cosby's corpses with her delusion powers, and once she did that, the police would no longer be able to get us. Nobody had found their bodies yet, right? Holding back my urge to throw up, I looked at the door. Cosby's bloody corpse was just outside, and therefore unlikely to be found. But Senna's wasn't. She had fallen off the roof, meaning someone could have easily stumbled upon what was left of her. It'd be the end if that happened. Seeing how Rimi wasn't waking up, I'd have to cover up their body somehow. Just the mere prospect terrified me. I didn't want to even look at someone's corpse. And that wasn't even mentioning the fact that I knew them, which made it so much worse. Even so, I desperately shook away my fears, and then I went outside. I had to ensure my and Rimi's safety. It was already dark out, leaving my surroundings very dim. I didn't even have the moon to help. Clouds were hiding it. Straining my eyes, I looked over to where Cosby was lying. Huh? But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find Kazupi. I couldn't find Kazupi's tragic corpse. There was still a pool of blood, so I couldn't laugh it off as it was all just a dream plot twist, but her corpse was completely gone. What the? Starting to get real confused, I stuck my head over the edge of the roof and peered down at the street below. There was no one there, and Santa's corpse wasn't there either. There was clearly something down there, something I immediately understood to be a pool of blood, but that was it. No people, nor corpse, nobody freaking out, nothing. Where had her corpse gone? The corpse had definitely been there after Rimi had lost consciousness, so Rimi couldn't have erased her with her gigalomaniac. So Rimi couldn't have erased her with her gigalomaniac powers. But then who could have? Ayase? No, she was still hospitalized in Yoyogi. Shogun? But he was my enemy. There's no way he'd ever do something that would have benefited me. What the hell was going on? Feeling both vague anxiousness and incredibly relieved. Feeling both vaguely anxious and incredibly relieved about the corpse's disappearing, I let out a deep sigh. Then I felt chills on the nape of my neck. I was being watched. It was the usual mysterious gaze. Shokin, is that you watching me?
僕を見るな。
I ducked into my room. Oh shit, Rimi's awake. Oh no, she might kill us. Rimi had gotten up. She was looking around the room with a vacant expression on her face. Guess she'd finally woken up. But what should I say to her? Killing Senna and Kazupi had been a pretty extreme shock to her. Then again, it was bound to happen if you killed someone. It wasn't like PKing an ESO. She also said she didn't mean to. And I was sure that only made it worse. I didn't know what to say at a time like this, so in the end I couldn't help but say nothing. Rimi looked at me, then tilted her head curiously.
ここどこかな
No! No, is this Kazupi?
あなたは誰
Wait, is this supposed to be Kazupi, or is this just like Rimi has amnesia now? What's going on? Rimi was acting strange.
リミどうしちゃったの？
リミって誰だろう
What the fuck? Rimi has reverted to, like, being 10? What is this?
私かな私リミじゃないよ
何言ってるんだよ。しっかりしてよ。
ね
Well,
私の名前は
what's your name?
わかんないや
Okay.
嘘でしょ。
Alright, amnesia route.
嘘だよね。
Alright, she's got amnesia. I pressed her for an answer.
本当だよ
Right when she'd said that, Rimi jumped into my arms and started clinging to me. She rubbed her cheeks against mine, like some spoiled kid wanting attention. And having her so close to me, and so suddenly at that, I started panicking.
あなた誰私のお友達かな
Yes, I am best friend Takumi. Taku for
友
short.
達ってねつまりね私に親切にしてくれる人のことあなたは怒らない私怒られるの
Just don't kill us. Everything's fine. No, we don't want sad Rimi. Amnesia. Or maybe even some form of age regression. Regression. Why do I keep fucking up by reading these things? Or maybe even some form of age regression. But you'll find out more about that in 3 minutes, because apparently we have to do an ad break. You can blame Twitch. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Stay safe, gamers. Hello, gamers. We are back. We are back. Let's just get right into it. I thought this kind of thing only happened in Eroge. I would have never even dreamed of actually running into a situation like this IRL. But that was only a possibility. The sheer amount of Rimi... What? The sheer amount Rimi had freaked out when she'd killed Cosby wasn't normal. And... oh no. She had her Joker moment. Joker 2 doesn't come out until next week. You're not supposed to break apart yet. I remembered the late Senna's words. Rimi might have broken once again. She killed her own heart and mind. Suddenly, those words came to mind. I couldn't quite remember where, but I had a feeling that someone had told me that before. If Rimi had killed her own mind was from the shock of having killed Cosby and Senna, and I was talking to an entirely new personality she had created, I could understand why she was acting like a child. DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder, also known as multiple personalities. Yua had accused me of having it. Obviously I didn't have it, but maybe Rimi was suffering from it now. This was all just speculation, of course. What I did know, though, was that the childlike Rimi in front of me now was nothing like the Rimi I knew. She wasn't the same girl who told me she'd stay by my side, the girl whose kindness had enveloped me. She's completely different now. I fell to my knees on the spot. I was overwhelmed with despair. As Rimi clung to me playfully, she peered at my face curiously. Her eyes were so serene, so beautiful. Purity overflowed from them. Purity that I couldn't stare back into. In a way, we were lucky that Senna's and Cosby's corpses had disappeared. But if Rimi was like this, who was supposed to protect me now? Rimi, not that I knew whether or not to even call her that, had genuinely lost all her memories. Or I suppose you could say this Rimi didn't have memories at all.
私はリミっていうの？
そうだよ。崎畑リミ。
I mean, this is fine because we don't remember fuck all about, or we don't know fuck all about Rimi. We don't know anything about her.
崎畑リミ。そうなんだ。
From the way she talked, you wouldn't think we were talking about her literal name.
あなたは？お名前なんていうのかな？
僕は西条匠。
Having to teach her something so basic, like day one stuff, was just thinking about where this was going to led me. What? Thinking about where this was going to lead just left me feeling even worse than before.
西条匠。タクだね。
She got it! First try. It was the same. Her nickname for me was the same.
ねえねえタク。あのね。
What?
私ね。手が。ベトベトしてるの。
Oh, that's blood. It's the blood. You murdered like 2 people. We don't need to talk about that though. We don't need to talk about that. The dried blood on her hands clung to her skin. The dark red discoloration on her was Cosby's blood. Or at least, it should have been. Her corpse had vanished, but her blood still remained.
ベトベト。やだな。
Rimi looked pretty sad as she stared at her hands. I was reminded of Cosby's smile, and was hit with a horrible ache in my chest. Trying my best to hold myself together, I got a wet towel ready for her.
ほら、手出して。
When I told her that, Rimi timidly held out both of her hands. Using the towel, I started cleaning the blood off of them. Every time I glanced at it, the previously white towel got redder and redder. To make sure I got it all off, I had to scrub kind of hard. As I wiped away the blood, making sure to get even between her fingers.
くすぐったい。
Rimi laughed cheerfully. She must have had no idea why she had blood on her hands. Well, wasn't she fucking acting carefree? You know what? Clean them yourself. Why should I have to babysit you? But there was no way I could actually say that. Rimi had tried her best to protect me, and because of that, regardless of whether or not it had been intentional, she'd killed someone. And then her heart and mind had broken completely. So I couldn't just leave her to fend for herself. After all, I was also responsible for her being like this.
ほら、綺麗になったよ。
ありがとう。ピカピカだ。私の
Wow.
手
Wow, all sparkly now.
すっきりしたよ。
All squeaky clean. She took my hands, intertwined her fingers with mine, and then innocently shook them up and down. She seemed so happy. It was like she was a little kid. For some reason, her smile left me feeling wistful.
ねえ、リミ。君は僕を守ってくれる？
守る？何を？
僕。
Me? Boku?
私ね、よくわかんない。でもね、タコは私のお友達だから、私に親切にしてくれるよね。だからね、私、タコがいてくれてよかったよ。
It was no use. There was no point talking to her anymore. The Rimi who was supposed to protect me wasn't there anymore. I hung my head. Rimi wasn't supposed to be here. Where was her house? She needed to get home. I thought of reaching out to her family, but I couldn't find anything among her among her stuff with their contact information. If I went to school, the teachers there would most likely know her address. Problem was, it was already fairly late, so I probably wouldn't be able to get in to ask. Actually, now that I thought about it, I didn't really know much about Rimi. Where did she live? How big was her family? When was her birthday? What was her favorite food? I didn't know anything about her, and because of that, there was nothing I could do for her.
タク、タク。
Rimi called my name, and she pulled on the hem of my shirt.
ねえねえ、タク。
Taku desu.
私ね、お腹ペコペコ。
Okay, Rimi, let's go to McDonald's. You want some McDonald's? You want 20p nugget? What time was it? It was already dark outside and also dinner time. Unfortunately, I didn't have any spare food here. I would have to go buy something.
何が食べたい？
Had she also forgotten about food due to her memory loss? Did she not know what different kinds of foods there were? What they tasted like?
そうだ。
Soba!
私、お蕎麦が食べたい。
お
Osoba.
蕎麦。
Osoba.
お蕎麦好き。
好きなの？
好き。
なんで？食べたことあるの？
食べたこと。ないかも。
How do you know you like it?
でもね、お蕎麦は好きだよ。
Okay. What was going on? Was she starting to regain her memories? Or was her previous self-sense of taste the only thing she remembered? If she got her memories back, I'd be saved. For the time being, though, I had to go to the supermarket to buy some soba.
リミ、ここで待ってて。絶対外に出ちゃダメだ。はーい。ビシッ。
I tentatively struck the pose the previous Rimi had done all the time. I put one hand against my temple, as if I was saluting her. Maybe this would make Rimi remember. Maybe this would make Rimi remember. That was my train of thought, at least, but...
石？何？かっこいいね。
She had no idea what I was doing. Her eyes were sparkling with curiosity, not recognition. So, incredibly embarrassed, I bolted out of the room. On the way to the supermarket, I checked to see if the police were around or not. Just as I thought, Senna and Kozumi's corpses had disappeared. If there were any police around, then it was possible that there had been witnesses. But if there weren't, then that would mean no one had found them. In other words, we might have had some time before we found out. We were found out. Of course, I wasn't just wary of the police, but Shogun too. He could show up completely out of nowhere at any time, so I paid extremely close attention to my shadows. Where could he have been looking? What? So I paid extremely close attention to my shadows, where he could have been lurking in. Thankfully, I didn't feel God's gaze at the moment, and even then I still didn't want to go out at night. The darkness scared me. And when I walked through the deepest parts of the darkness, I could faintly see the scene of the dead Kozupi and Senna start to form. Their bodies mutilated and disfigured, slowly took shape, yes. I quickly averted my eyes and hurried to the supermarket, keeping my eyes trained on my feet. Once I got back to my base, I got the portable stove and started boiling the water for the soba. My container didn't exactly have any form of ventilation, and there was flammable shit everywhere, so it was honestly pretty dangerous. Regardless, I went ahead and tossed the soba into the pot. Instant noodles, of course. Rimi was staring at the noodles with a spark of curiosity in her eyes.
お蕎麦ってこうやって作るんだね。
Kozupi's pool of blood was still there. It was practically all dried up now. And since it was nighttime, it just looked like some weird black stain. I broke down all the empty cardboard boxes I piled up and set them over the top of it. I knew it wouldn't solve the problem, but I still didn't want to see it if I could help it.
タク、こぼれそうだよ。
When I heard her say that, I went back to check the stove. It was boiling pretty intensely, and it was on the brink of overflowing, but instead of doing anything about it, she just kept saying, "Whoa!"
火を消して。
Rimi what just happened there? Was it the sound effect of the dial? Okay. That sounded like the main menu selection sound. Rimi tilted her head, then turned the dial on the stove the wrong way.
溢れたよ。
いや、すごいじゃないでしょ。
I frantically pushed Rimi aside and turned off the burner. There was hot water everywhere. It shouldn't have really mattered. As long as it was edible, she shouldn't have cared too much about how it tasted or its texture. So I took the pot, drained the water from it, and immediately rinsed the soba noodles. Though it was worth noting that I'd only done so because the instructions told me to, not because I was some master soba chef.
冷やしとあったかいのと。
冷たいの。
I plopped the noodles into a bowl and poured it in the base I'd bought as well. All I had for toppings was some green onion. I chopped it up to make a decent garnish, and then I was ready to go. I took Rimi back to my room in a hurry, and leave the cleaning for tomorrow when it was bright outside. But right now I wanted to spend as little time as possible outside, especially since there was still the faint smell of blood out there. It felt as if Senna and Kozupi would show up even now. They'd been drenched in blood, and then they'd start walking toward me like zombies. Sure, that was more based in a cult than reality, but it still scared me nonetheless.
ねえタク、食べていい？
It was pretty clear that Rimi didn't have any of the intense worries I had. Actually, maybe it was precisely because of those things that she changed to an entirely new personality in order to completely erase the memory of having killed people.
どうぞ。
いただきます。
She then grabbed the chopsticks I'd given her. She was holding them like they were a fork, though. And instead of using them, she stuck her mouth on the edge of the bowl, started slurping it up directly. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. That's how a lolly eats. Thank you very much. She must have even forgotten how to hold chopsticks correctly. She'd also forgotten how soba was made and how to turn off a simple stove. And yet, she had remembered that it was polite to thank people for making stuff for you. Maybe that meant that her understanding of the world around her had regressed.
食べられないよ。
Huh?
食べられない。
Rimi was getting frustrated at her own inability to properly eat soba. And I mean, considering how she was trying to go about it, of course she wouldn't be able to.
食べさせて。
Oh, God.
なんで
This is what we're doing here. Was she for real? She was asking me to feed her? Felt like I was her babysitter at this point. Or perhaps a dad? But having a daughter the same age as me? Oh God, I didn't know if I could handle that.
たく。
She pleaded with her puppy dog eyes, and since I couldn't really say no to those, I let out a sigh and gave in.
ほらあんして
Rimi took the soba I was holding out of her in her mouth, and started chewing it with a smile on her face. She seemed to really like it.
おいしいわ。
それはよかった
Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. A laid-back, relaxing life with a 3D girl. That was definitely what I was looking for. A life with no overly dramatic eroge-esque plot points. Not having to worry about the heroine's emotional baggage, not having to worry about having feelings for each other, yet being too afraid to speak up, and not having to worry about getting dragged into a murder case. A life that you wouldn't find in books or video games, and yet, I had a feeling that was what I really wanted. And that very life was actually unfolding right before my very eyes. Not only that, but Rimi was here with me too. Being honest with myself, Rimi was cute. She'd also said that she would protect me. And I, too, wanted to stay with her forever, if I could. That was all fake. A lie. This life wouldn't last. And Rimi wasn't Rimi. Our time would be far too short-lived, far too fleeting. The thought of it made me sad, wistful, and empty.
戻ってきてよリミ本当に戻ってくれ
I couldn't help but whisper those words.
メールだよ。ボケなす。
Meridayo! Saratan saved me. I was taken by surprise. I'd heard Saratan's voice come from my PC. I just received an email from someone. Was it from Shogun? I had a bad feeling about this. This couldn't be good. I didn't want to look. Don't look at me.
僕を見るな
I felt the gaze. Someone was looking at me. It felt even more evident than usual. I looked around me, but there was no one besides me and Rimi in this room. My hand had stopped. Because of that, Rimi was fighting hard to try and wrestle the soba into her mouth. She wasn't looking at me, which meant that there was no one else it could have possibly been. I didn't even need to ask whose eyes are those eyes. Groaning, I headed for the PC and checked my inbox. Awaken! Sender, Shogun. I had only received one email and the sender was Shogun. Oh. What was he plotting now? Was he going to kidnap Nanami for real this time instead of just faking it? Or maybe he was finally going to come and kill me directly once and for all. The fear made all my hair stand on end. Chills on the nape of my neck grew even stronger. I didn't feel any good, and my head was starting to hurt somewhat. Don't look at me. With trembling fingers, I clicked the mouse and opened the email.
あれ
That's it. There was nothing written in it. There was only the subject line, which read Awaken. There was nothing written on the body. Awaken? What did he mean by that? Was he telling me to awaken as a gigalomaniac? Was he telling me to awaken as a gigalomaniac? You had to be fucking kidding me. I had a feeling he said something similar the first time we'd met.
バカにして僕を怯えさせてそんなに楽しいか
I was angry, but at the same time I wanted to fend off the fear lurking deep inside me. I hit the keyboard with my hands, hard with my hands. Static came from the speakers. Had I clicked something by accident?
目覚めて
What?
もう時間がない
What the fuck? We opened a virus in our email. It heard something. Mixed in with all that static, I'd heard something. I hurriedly checked my PC. The MP3 player wasn't running. and there weren't any videos playing in my browser. I thought maybe Shogun's email had included some kind of virus, but there were no files attached to it.
時間がないんだ。
Again. Again, I heard it again. It was getting hard to breathe. Drops of sweat ran down my forehead. Oh. I could just turn off the sound. If I did that, I'd stop hearing this extremely weird static. I opened the sound settings at the bottom right corner with the mouse, and then I checked the option to mute everything in the volume mixer. Once I did that, I wouldn't hear anything. I wouldn't have to listen to that static, nor anything resembling a voice within the static. I was extremely tired, freaked out. But of course I was. It'd only been 2 hours since 2 people I knew had died right in front of me. Not to mention the weird stuff I see in the hospital when I got to visit ISA, or the strange calls from Nanami. So I had to just be mishearing something, and amid the static,
目覚めて。
a voice
時間がないんだ。
was coming from the speaker.
もうすぐサードメルトが起き。
I'd clearly heard it. It was him. That had been Shogun's voice. The same voice that had talked to me at the Scramble Crossing.
なんでだよ。ミュートにしたはずだろ。
タク、サードメルトって何？
What's a turd melt? Rimi, acting just like she had been for the past couple hours, tilted her head as she looked at me with innocent eyes. I came up close to her, grabbed her by the shoulders, and shook them.
リミ、頼むよ。しっかりしてよ。
痛いよ。
言ってくれ。僕を守るって言ってくれよ。僕は一人じゃ耐えられない。このままじゃ殺される。
痛くしないで。
僕は君を責めないから。君がいてくれないと困るんだ。だから
痛いの。
Tears trickled down her face. I was scaring her. Every couple seconds, her shoulders trembled. I slowly let go of her.
頼むよ。目を覚まし。
Oh, here comes the earthquakes. The floor started shaking violently. An earthquake is bigger than the last one. I was struck with a violent ringing in my ears. It was such an intensely shrill, resonant sound, my head felt like it was about to burst open. I felt like my ears were being pierced by thousands upon thousands of needles, so my brain was being stirred into mush by a blender. And then... I was hit by an enormous impact, and a blinding light dyed my vision completely white. I was awash with an elusive feeling of being immersed in lukewarm water. The waves gently rocked me back and forth as I drifted along its surface. I slowly opened my eyes. As I slowly opened my eyes, a vibrant blue sky appeared, spread out before me. Feels almost like I could fall into it. It was a rather strange sky. The sun was nowhere to be seen. Even though I was supposed to be in my room. Even though I was supposed to be into nighttime. What? Even though it was supposed to be nighttime. When could I have possibly gone outside? When could it have possibly turned to day? With the last earthquake, I had been out for more than an hour. Maybe this I had been unconscious for the entire night, I thought to myself. I remembered the earthquake's tremendous impact. Yet another elusive feeling hit me, like the tremors were resonating with the very blood coursing through my veins, threatening to burst open from the inside. Maybe this was heaven. Maybe I died in that earthquake. Heaven, huh? There's no way an otaku freak like me would go to heaven. That wasn't even mentioning how I hadn't been able to save my own the life of my own little sister. How I'd been the worst possible brother to her. And how I'd made Rimi kill Sen and Cosby. Hell would be a far more fitting place for someone like me. Although obviously I'd choose heaven if I could. My body didn't feel quite right. I was being overwhelmed by a sensation of walking on top of a fluffy cloud. I couldn't quite understand it. But regardless of how I felt, I forced myself to get up. The feeling of being rocked by the waves hadn't simply been an imagination after all. This was a world with a never-ending surface of crystal clear water. A world where, no matter where you looked, blue filled my vision. And I had been right in the middle of it, lying down. Where was I? Was this really heaven? But I feel like I'd seen this scenery before.
あの空はどこに
A voice resounded within my mind. A voice which rose from the depths of my memories. Right, I remembered now. I'd seen it in a dream before. Rimi had been there. I had talked to her as she looked up at the blue sky. Her face clearly one of holding back tears. I was seeing the same dream as I had back then, but no matter where I looked, there was no one other than me. There was no one here, not even Rimi. It was far too... What? There was no one there, not even Rimi. It was far too... reposeful? Rimi. I tried calling her name, but my words were entirely mute. And yet, even without sound, they created ripples across the calm surface of water. Are you there? The sound was a series of vibrations, and those vibrations in turn created waves. Among those waves, just like I had been a few moments ago, there was someone lying down. I stood up. My field of view expanded. The one drifting along the waves was Rimi. She was so unbelievably pale. She appeared as if she was dead. Her eyes were closed, and both of her hands were resting gently on her chest. And she simply stayed that way, facing up to the sky, not moving even a single inch. Rimi, wake up. Even though I called out to her, she didn't react. She was dead. I knew that for certain. But it wasn't just her. The world itself was dead. And so I just stood there, not knowing what to do. Right at that very moment, Rimi's prone body gradually sank beneath the surface of the water. As soon as I realized what was happening, she was already completely submerged. How was I standing on top of water at all, I wondered. Curious, I fixed my gaze below the water's surface. Beyond it there was only darkness. The sky was so bright, and yet, even though the water was so clear, below it, there was only an eternal darkness that seemed to swallow all, and Rimi, still lying on her back, was slowly sinking farther and farther into its depths. I had to go after her. I need to wake her up. But as soon as that thought crossed my mind, even though I had been able to stand on water until then, all support suddenly disappeared out from under me. We blue screen, oh boy. I sank. My body grew heavier with each passing second. It was like I was underwater. But it wasn't as though I couldn't breathe. The water was very warm too. I just wanted to drip within this comfortable sensation for all eternity. That was the way it made me feel. If I had to give an example, rather than ocean water, it was more like amniotic fluid. This very well might have been how a fetus felt inside its mother's womb. I thought the darkness continued forever, but in truth, there was a bottom to it. It was so dark, I couldn't even see my feet. I simply felt an odd, sticky sensation on my soles. I stood in the middle of the darkness. When I looked up, I found I could no longer see the surface. That blue sky, too, had been veiled completely by the darkness. The sole source of light was a single ray that descended down from above like a thin thread. Much like a spotlight would, it pointed to a single place. And yet, unlike a spotlight, there was nothing beneath it to be illuminated. It only lit up a meaningless spot. Nervously, I stepped into the light. It was ever so faint and gentle, but the moment I bathed in it, my chest began to ache. What was the sensation? It felt almost as if I could cry at a moment's notice, as if my heart itself was being rended. That was the sensation that overtook me. Where could Rimi be right now after sinking all the way down here? Relying on the faint light source alone, I made my way out from beneath the spot of light, then searched the darkness. Soon my toes hit something soft and yielding. I kneeled down and this time tried touching it with my hand. What I felt was so cold, it was capable of freezing my very fingertips. Little by little, my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and before long I realized something. I was touching a person lying collapsed on the ground. Rimi. There she is. Wake up. I tried shaking her. Rimi, wake up. But there was no reaction. She wasn't breathing. Taking her feeble hand, I measured her pulse. She was dead. She had no pulse whatsoever. Dismayed, I strained my eyes to examine the surrounding darkness, only to find that she wasn't the only one. Oh my god, there's so many Rimis. Countless other Rimis were collapsed on the ground, almost as if this place were a burial ground. And every single one of them was dead. This was a graveyard. The graveyard of her heart. This was how it felt to me. Hold on one second. What does this sound? Is this like underwater sounds? Suddenly, countless bubbles sprang forth before my eyes, and within each and every one of them, I could see different visions being displayed. An instinctive realization came to me, and I knew then that these were Rimi's dead memories. And then we wake up, right?
私の最初の記憶
Oh.
は落ちてくる雨と空を追い隠した。
How long ago had that been? It was around the time that I was just an elementary schooler, maybe 6 years ago? It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories were not continuous. In it, I saw my dad, whose head had been blown away, and my mom, who had been crushed completely by steel right next to me. Jesus. Even though, only a moment prior, we had all been celebrating inside the car, happy as could be about our family trip, an enormous truck had closed in on... Oh, truck coon strikes again. An enormous truck had closed in on us, and before I even knew what was happening, the car I had been in had been completely flattened. I had then been struck by an intense pain, and my consciousness began to grow blurry. Feeling as if my very body was being torn apart, the sharp squeal of brakes played an endless refrain for my ears.
The 次の記憶は手術台の上から見た。
I wondered how long ago that was. It was right after losing my parents, maybe 5 years ago? Didn't matter when it happened, for my memories are not continuous.
担当医に剣のようなものが見えたと言ったそうですね。聞こえていますか？
Okay, so that means she has a different name than the one that we know. I had a feeling someone had called my name, but I can no longer recall what exactly that name was, for it was now a dead name.
まだ傷が癒えていないようですね。ご両親が目の前で亡くなったのもショックでしたか。では、聞いているだけで結構。私はこの AH 東京総合病院の名誉院長であり、スポンサーでもあるノロセ。
Boo, we hate you. All my homies hate Norose.
君はギガロマニアックスである可能性があります。ぜひその力に覚醒していただきたい。幸いにも君は天涯孤独になったので、親族などの煩わしい連中も湧いては来ない。というわけで、君は今日をもって死亡扱いとなりました。以後、この地下室で過ごしてもらいます。何の心配もいりません。ここは私しか知らない部屋ですから。頑張って目覚めてください。期待していますよ。君は実験台です。力を持つ非覚醒者を目覚めさせるためには何が必要か、 いろいろと試させてもらいます。
I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling, for I hated the dark more than anything.
次の記憶も
Oh my
手
god,
術台の
another
上から見た
another operating room
眩しい
memory?
光と
I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I had lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened. My memories were not continuous. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. We are whipping Rimi in the surgery room? What is this?
実に我慢強いお嬢さんですね、君。背中の皮膚がただれて血が出ているのに。
Jesus,
なぜ
notice,
食べ
eh?
ようとするのです。
Jesus. She's supposedly like what, 17? 18 in the from what we know, and this is like 5 years ago in the past? Jesus, notice it. What are you doing?
早く目覚めれば楽になるというのに。
She's like 12. I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. If I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything anymore. More? Okay.
次の記憶も
I wondered how long ago that was. Having been locked in the basement, I lost all sense of time. It didn't matter when it happened, for my memories are not continuous.
痛いですか？
Oh my god, not to say,
血はたく
Jesus.
さん出ますが、死ぬほどではありません。
Jesus, not to say.
3日も放置すれば、
All my homies hate not to say.
そこからが今回の実験の本番です。安心してください。私は
Don't worry, I am a doctor.
メスの扱いには慣れてい
You
ます。
just trust, I'm a doctor. Don't worry about all the cutting of the skin I'm doing here.
そうですね。10箇所ほど切り刻みましょうか。
I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. If I did so, my vision would be rendered paralyzed, and it would soon all be over without me having to see anything more. I wondered how long ago it was. Didn't matter. Memory's continuous. You know the drill. What do we got now? Itchy?
そうですか。かゆいですか。しかし、引っかくことは許しませんよ。人というのは実に不思議なものでしてね。痛みは意外と我慢することができるのですが、か
True.
ゆみはそうでもないのです。
True.
痛みよりもかゆみの方が精神をおかしくさせるには効果的かもしれませんね。
I mean, to be fair, though, like, handling pain to a surprising extent, like, sure. Because other than, like, medicine, there's not too much you can do about dealing with pain, right? Like unless you're taking something to try to, like, right? But the same does not apply to any form of itching. Well, with itching, you can very easily, you feel like you can very easily solve the problem. You're not going to have that when it comes to pain, right? Like... I continued to stare fixedly at the lights from the ceiling. Vision blurred, oh, whatever. And then I killed my own self. Oh. Okay, that's a choice.
次の記憶も
Okay, we know this, we know this. My memory is not continuous. Okay. Oh my god.
Hmm. 左上腕はこれで粉砕骨折というところですか。
Yeah, let's just break the arm. Why not?
まだ目覚めないとは一体何が足りないのでしょうね。しょうがない。今日の実験はこれぐらいにしておきましょう。ゆっくり休んでください。
I continued to stare fixedly at the lights hanging from the ceiling. Yeah. And then I killed my own self. Yep. Okay, what do we got? Oh, blurred. Oh god, what's going on now? Waterboarding? Waterboarding. It's the thing that you guys do to me.
最近まで拷問方法として用いていた最も安易で最も効果的で最も苦しませることができる技術です。
You guys do this shit to me every stream. It's fucked up and evil. A method of torture, waterboarding. It is performed by pouring water directly into the nose and mouth of a person who is lying on their back with their legs elevated and fixed above their head. This creates an illusion in which the victim feels like they are both suffocating and drowning. As the illusion of drowning does not actually inflict pain, nor cause physical injury, the United States argues that waterboarding does not constitute cruel torture as defined and prohibited by the Geneva Conventions.
いわゆる水攻めというものですね。わずかな水の量だけであなたに溺死した錯覚を味わわせることができるのですよ。21世紀において未だにこのような古典的な拷問を行っている。実に面白いではありませんか。
Well, while you're doing it to me, no, I don't find it very fascinating at all. I continue to stare at the lights. Okay. And then I kill my own self. I wondered how long that was. My memories are not continuous.
私は麻酔を扱うのはこれが初めてなのですが、
Anesthesia.
どうやらうまくいったようですね。気分はいかがですか？
Okay.
今首から下が麻痺
What
している
fucked up thing are we gonna do with that?
自分の体を思うままに動かせないというのはストレスのたまることだと思いませんか？とりあえずその状態で1年ほど過ごしてみましょう。
What? What?
1日に1度点滴で栄養を与え
What?
ますが
Oh
心配
god.
はいりません。
That's awful. Jesus.
では良いお年を。
Have a good year. Yeah, just stare at the lights. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light. Something that looked almost like a pair of wings. Oh? And I killed my own self. Oh, she almost awakened. Almost. Oh. No matter how many times I called out, no one came for me. Nothing moved, and I couldn't move anything. Not even a twitch or of a finger. I simply stared at the vacant lights. There was nothing else I could do. As I remained there, I felt like I saw something amid the white light. Something that looked almost like feathers fluttering about. And then I killed my own self. Come on, Rimi, you can do it.
次の記憶も
No matter how many times I called out, no one came to me. Stared vacantly at the light. Nothing else I could do. Thought I saw something amid the white light, something that looked like feathers fluttering about. And I killed my own self. Again? We're just gonna keep doing this?
次の記憶
Okay, I get it.
実に醜い姿ですね。
Oh shit, has it finally been a year?
1年もの間、そこで横たわっていた気分はどうですか？
Not good.
己の糞便にまみれ。
What, you didn't even clean me?
皮だけの姿となり。
You didn't even clean me?
尊厳を奪われた気分はどうだったのかと聞いているのです。ですが安心してください。殺しはしませんよ。
Oh, well, that's definitely...
この実験が始まって、そろそ
That's...
ろ3年にな
Yeah,
りますか。
thanks for that at this point? So about 3 years since this experiment began? Oh
私
boy.
はね、君のことが愛おしくてたまらない。かけがえのない存在ですよ。
Nope, don't like that. Don't like that at all.
ギガロマニアックスを強制的に覚醒させることはとても難しく時間がかかる。ですが、君には早く目覚めてもらいたいんで
It's
す。
been 3 years. What is your definition of quickly?
期待していますよ。さん
I continued to stare at the lights. Paralyzed. Saw almost looked like feathers fluttering down together with a pair of wings. And I killed my own self. What number was my current self? That's enough. Make it stop, please. To think that's such a tragic past behind Rimi's smile. I took one of Rimi's corpses that was lying on the ground and brought it close to my chest. It was terribly cold, and I could tell it was devoid of a soul. But even so, I needed her. I want you here with me, Rimi. I then wished and crafted a delusion. Alright, let's go. Wake up. Please wake up, Rimi. You're the only one who can save me. I know this is selfish of me, but I need you to protect me. I know this is presumptuous of me, but even though I'm a total loser, I feel like I can change you. I feel like I can change if I'm with you. So please, wake up, Rimi. Here we go. The next thing I knew, I found myself in the blue-filled world once again. Waves ran across the surface of water, and then slowly rising up from the depths were countless Rimis. I count 3. Okay, 4, 5. I count 5 Rimis. Every one of them had their eyes closed and were standing still as could be on top of the water. Eventually they started moving. However, they didn't do so using their legs, but simply glided across the water. One Rimi then overlapped with another, and the same one overlapped with yet another. Until they all became one. The Rimis are merging! They're merging together. Dumbfounded, I just stood there and watched. Eventually, there were only 4 of them left, then 2. And then, the last 2 Rimis slowly melted together and became one. Oh, her eyes opened. And then she looked at me. Could this Rimi have been the one I knew? That Rimi? Or was it an entirely different one? I didn't know. I was afraid to call her name, so I waited for her to say something. But instead of speaking, she showed me a warm smile. Oh! Oh my god, she's alive! We did it. Raising her hand to her head, she struck her usual pose. Rimi nodded, and then she embraced me. I buried my face in her chest. The feeling of her soft, supple breasts spread across my cheeks. Gravity soon disappeared, and the two of us began drifting along the blue. Aww. Aww. Let's get that one. Let's grab that one. That's a cute one. That's a cute. That's cute. With her still lying on the ground, Rimi held me as she gently stroked my hair. I couldn't describe how wonderful that felt. It was as if the very essence of all her kindness and warmth was enveloping me. It reminded me of how I felt when my mom hugged me back when I was a kid. How safe I'd felt in her arms. I wanted to stay like this forever, but at the same time I wanted to confirm for myself that she really was Rimi. So I turned my head just enough to look at her face. Even with that horrific past behind her, she still had the brightest smile. Rimi, despite looking like she was about to cry, still made an effort to show a smile. She entwined her fingers with my hair. Oh! Oh, we're so in? Before I knew it, my chin had forcibly been raised slightly. A captivating aroma filled me, and something warm and tender pressed against my lips. Right before me was her face. Her eyes were closed. I could feel her soft breaths. So this was a kiss. So sweet and so pleasant. I felt like my brain itself was turning to mush. From just a kiss alone, my heart was filled with love for her. An otaku freak like me depended on her so, yet even still desired her everything. I closed my eyes and engraved that sensation in my memories. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my room. Rimi was lying down on the floor, with me still in her embrace. Slowly, she parted from my lips. Tadaima. Everybody else is dead, but we're back. We're good. Rimi was acting shy, something I found incredibly cute. Our eyes met. The two of us were blushing hard. Had girls' bodies always been this soft? Huh. 3D for the win. Finally. Even I got a real girlfriend. Nobody would ever call me an unpopular otaku freak ever again. My popular times are truly here. He didn't say that, I said that.
約束したもんね。タクを守るって。
僕を守ってくれる？
守るよ。タクも、タクミも、ナナちゃんも。
What was she trying to say? Ignoring my confusion, Rimi averted her gaze from me and looked up at the ceiling.
前は、タクミに心を救ってもらって、今度は、タクに心を助けてもらって、だから、今度こそ、私があなたたちを守る。
I still didn't understand what she meant by Taku and Takumi, but what I did know was that if she was there to protect me, I wouldn't need to worry about anything anymore. She was a giggle maniac, and she would keep me safe. No matter what Shogun had asked her to do, she'd be able to pull it off. As long as I was with her, that'd be enough for me.
私、頑張るね。
My absolute hardest.
頑張って、罪滅ぼしもするし、あなたたちからの恩にも報いるから。
Atoning for her sins. Was she talking about what she'd done to Sen and Cosby? But that had been legitimate self-defense. She hadn't had a choice, and that should have been how she thought about it. But what felt far more strange to me was how she'd said you both. Who else did she meet?
だから今は眠って
This is where she kills us. This is where she kills us, isn't it? I can feel the vibrations coming from her body at every word. Even now, her fingers were still stroking my hair. I felt so at peace and so very sleepy. Reveling in the happiness of falling asleep in her arms, I closed my eyes. Okay, we take a nice little nap here as the world ends. Oh shit, she's locked in. By the time Sakihata and Rimi left the container, the world around her had changed beyond recognition. A city of death. That was the most fitting description. Countless buildings littering her surroundings had collapsed, and those that had avoided such a fate had deep cracks ripping through them.
サードメルトこれほどだなんて
手遅れだったよ。野呂瀬源一は予定
Oh, this is Takumi Takumi, not Taku. This is Takumi Takumi. Shogun. Following that voice, a boy on a wheelchair appeared before her. This old building was not wheelchair accessible, and yet despite the fact that it should have been impossible for someone in a wheelchair to ascend to the roof on their own, there he sat. Had Rimi showed no signs of being surprised, but Rimi showed no signs of being surprised by his appearance.
元の君に戻ったみたいだね。
Okay, why didn't it continue?
元
There
の
we go.
私なんていないよ。どっちタクがそう望んでくれたことはさ、すごく嬉しかったけどね。
彼はまた理想度なしで力を使った。もう少し追い込めば覚醒できる。
タクのことはそっとしておいてあげて。
Cutting his words short, Rimi spoke with an intense conviction.
ノア2は私が何とかする。ナナちゃんも私が助ける。あなたも死なせないよ。
君一人じゃ野呂瀬に対抗はできない。それに前から言っているけど、君は普通に生きるべきなんだ。
タクとね、約束したんだ。
Looking up to the overcast clouds, Rimi gave a fleeting smile.
私がタクのこと守るって。だから行くね。ビシッ
Bishi? Bishi?
リミ、
Walking past the boy in the wheelchair, Rimi proceeded down the stairs. And the boy, deciding not to follow her, or rather being unable to, sank deeply into his wheelchair and let out a great sigh.
自分を犠牲に
Yeah,
す
of
る
course,
つも
of
りな。
course she is. Yeah, of course. And this is where she goes to fight Nodase and then gets fucked over. Noah, too, the bringer of calamity, or perhaps the creator of a utopia for humanity. Whichever it was, it meant nothing to Rimi. Whichever it was something Rimi had to destroy. Noah 2's location was already a known factor to her, a mutual recognition, silently yet tactfully planted into the people's consciousness. Despite it being right in front of Shibuya Station, despite the building having been demolished years ago, it was there, with none suspecting a thing. No one even tried to go inside. Rimi opened the door towards the former planetarium, where no signs of human presence could be found, and stepped inside. There's Nanami. Rimi's eyes went wide at the scene she saw before her. There stood a device that was beyond enormous, enshrined in the center of the dome-shaped room. It could be described only as a monster. An ominous sound rang faintly throughout the spacious room. It was a low-pitched noise akin to the deep growl of a beast, a sound that signified the device's operation. Noah 2. Nishido Nanami was being held captive right next to the device. Her uniform was torn, and a bandage soaked with blood was wrapped around her right wrist. Her head hung toward the floor, and she looked terribly, terribly pale. Faced with such a pitiable sight, Rimi was at a loss for words. Crucified in Jesus of Nazareth's likeness. No, what had held her now could not be called a cross. It was something far different, for it took the shape of pure, unadulterated malice. The entirety of this world's evil, the entirety of this world's disorder, the entirety of this world's immorality. It would be no exaggeration to refer to it as a symbol sculpted to those very attributes. Keeping her guard up, Rimi swiftly checked her surroundings. There was no one else there besides Anima. She found no traces of the man who had prompted the development of Noah 2, the man who had performed ruthless, torturous experiments on her, Nodose Genichi. Although surprised by that fact, Rimi prioritized Nanami's rescue and ran towards the tableau, crucifying her.
ナナちゃん、しっかり。
Lowering Nanami from the tableau, Rimi sighed in relief after confirming she was still breathing. First and foremost, she had to get Nanami somewhere safe. To achieve this end, Rimi went to pick her up. However, not good. Intense pain surged in her back, as if something was gouging out her very flesh. Rimi vomited blood that stained Nanami's uniform.
久々の再会だというのに、私には挨拶もなしですか?
Yeah, not even a greeting? It's kind of fucking rude. Enduring the pain, Rimi turned her head. Nodose Genichi was standing right behind her, and in his hand was the tableau that had been collapsing Nanami only a moment ago. However, it was not a tableau, but a sword. Nodose Genichi's D-sword. That very blade was now piercing through her body. Nodose slowly drew his hand back. The sharp blade of his D-sword bored into her body, slid through her flesh, and scraped against the surface of her bones. Her body ached in arched in involuntary spasms, spurred on by the sharp, agonizing pain as her body was being slowly sliced apart. At last, Nodose's sword released her. A torrent of blood came gushing free. Every nerve in her body was screaming out in agony. Even now, she felt as if she was about to pass out from the sheer pain.
その娘は西条匠をおびき寄せる貴重な餌なんです。勝手に連れて行かれては困りますね。
Rimi was well aware of the magnitude of Nodose's power as a gigalomaniac. She had been imprisoned by the man for over 3 years after all. In a fair fight, she would not stand a chance, and in this situation, he would never let her go. The mere idea of doing so would have been unfathomable to him. At the very least, I had to make sure Nana-chan escapes. The taste of blood spread through her mouth. She was continually assailed by the fierce urge to vomit. The open wound on her back was hot, as if seared by flame. The sheer pain coursing through her left her unable to move. Blood was still rushing out without pause. It felt as if her consciousness was about to be severed. It was so terribly cold. Her eyes grew hazy, and amid her fading vision, she saw what resembled a scornful smile forming on Nodose's face. This might be it for me. Rimi couldn't envision a delusion in which she managed to escape from this man's clutches. Only despair governed her heart. Let's go, Takumi time! It was a voice Rimi knew very well. Nishijo Takumi, or the boy presenting himself as Shogun. The voice came from a distant place. If defined, it was in a manner akin to thought transference. In other words, telepathy. A feat only possible by gigalomania. I grant my final delusion to you. It's gotta be a pretty good one then, right?
君にこんな辛い役目を任せてしまって ごめん。もう余計なことは言わない。君の意志を曲げることは無理だって。死ぬつもりなんだね。
There was a way to fix things without dying, I would have done it.
彼が目覚めなかった以上、僕にはどうすることもできない。だからせめて僕の最後の妄想を君に。
何言ってるの？あなたはそんなことしなくても。
Even though he had no presence in this place, Rimi shouted at the person she was speaking to.
君だけを死なせるわけにはいかないよ。すべての元凶は僕なんだから。だってもういいんだ。リミ、ノロセを殺してほしい。ノア2を破壊してほしい。僕がサポートするから。
Rimi's teeth sank into her lip, and she wiped away her tears. Despite it growing more and more distant with every passing second, she did everything in her power to hold on to her consciousness. She reel-booted her D-sword. Countless fluttering feathers came falling down. Cradling Nanami with one hand, she held her sword in the other. The dripping sound— oh shit, the music's kicking in. The dripping sound landing at her feet conveyed the terrible amount of blood she had lost. The bleeding had yet to stop, for her wound was one that would never allow it to. A single slash of Notice's D-sword was capable of bringing down all that stood against it. Rimi took the blow with her sword as she covered for Nanami. But their difference in weight proved fatal. Rimi could not take one of Notice's blows head-on with her small build. She was blown backwards and she slammed into the wall behind her. A crack tore through the wall of the planetarium's dome.
わざわざ生かしておいてやったというのに、恩をあだで返すと。またいたぶられたいのですか?
Notice slowly walked towards Rimi. His face was one of pure, unending confidence. Every facet of his being stood eye above, looking down on her with great derision.
変態だよね、あなたって。
Rimi grinned, but her smile was a strained one. And then, for some reason, only she could have known, she swung her D-sword toward the cracked wall behind her. The wall collapsed, exposing the scenery of the outside world. It was raining. Dense rain clouds coated the sky.
逃げようとでも。
逃げないよ。
I won't run away, but Rimi sat Nanami down on the ground, releasing her from her hold. Still holding her sword tight, she wrapped her arms around Nanami from behind.
ナナちゃんは関係ないでしょ。
Rimi crafted a delusion, a single dazzling ray of light. By the time the light had subsided, the wing-shaped D-sword Rimi held was no longer there. In their place, snow-white feathers had grown from Nanami's back. Pure, untainted wings enveloped the blood-stained girl. It was a gruesome, yet unendingly beautiful sight. Her form was like that of an angel. Nanami was unconscious, yet, as if they had a will of their own, the wings that adorned her began to flap. Yo, let's go? Rimi parted from Nanami. Deeply bemused, Notice watched as Nanami flew up through the giant hole that had opened up in the planetarium. Slowly and steadily, she glided through Shibuya as the rain incessantly poured. Alright, bye Nanami. Mission accomplished? Now unarmed, Rimi watched as she flew.
ナナちゃん、無事で。
理想像を妄想によって翼としたのですか?
I think her sword already is a pair of wings, but okay.
それで君は逃げないのですか?
Notice they already had Rimi within range of her D-sword. He could send her head flying with a simple swing. Nevertheless, Rimi stared right back at him, bereft of all fear.
まだ 逃げられないよ。あなたを
How you gonna do that now
殺さなきゃいけ
then?
ないから。
How you gonna do that? From her pocket, Rimi retrieved a cross with a dark sheen. To be precise, however, it was not a cross, but rather a stake. The same as those that had been used in the crucifixion case. In that very moment, Rimi had just real-booted one. Upon witnessing the display, Nodose could not help but raise a scornful laughter.
私を殺すそのようなおもちゃでですか随分と舐められたものですね
The blow was far too fast. Nodose's D-sword, far longer than he was tall, and at a speed thought unthinkable within mortal constraints, tore through Rimi's flank. Only when her body had already begun to stagger from the slash did she realize she had been cut. Rimi collapsed, screaming at the top of her lungs from the sheer pain. Nodose's attack was not one meant to kill. He could have killed her whenever he wished at this point, but he intentionally refrained from doing so. Approaching the writhing girl, he trampled down on her arm. Repeatedly alternating between pained breaths and gritting her teeth, Rimi eventually stopped moving, for she had no other choice. The tip of Nodose's enormous sword was right up against her blood-drenched back, but he had yet to pierce her with it.
もう一度聞かせてもらっていいでしょうかやめませんよ
In light of her request, Nodose pushed his sword forward with great strength. The tip of his sword further gouged the flesh of her blood-stained body, clawing even further into her. It was as if he was pinning an insect for him to display.
それで私を殺すと言いましたかそれ
And yet Rimi, still lying prone on the ground, reached for Nodose's leg with one hand and grabbed onto it. She clung to him as tightly as she could. The depths of her teary eyes harbored? Yeah, why did I say abhor? Harbored resolute flames of determination. They glared at the scornful man from below.
殺してあげる。私があなたを
Pulling his sword out from her, Nodose kicked Rimi in the jaw with all of his strength. Jesus. Her body tumbled across the floor like a rag doll.
しばらく会わないうちに実に不愉快な人間になったようですねすでに君は用済みです利用価値があるかと思い生かしておきましたがもういりません
Rimi was on the verge of death. She tried pushing her body up from the floor and crawling toward Nodose. But without her D-sword, and being unable to walk, she might as well have already been dead.
私に生意気な口を叩いたことを後悔しながら死んでいってください例えばそうですねこれから30年ほど私が君に毎日拷問を施してあげましょうか
Every day for 30 years? 30-year delusion suffering. Damn. Nodose's lips twisted, keeping the collapsed girl surrounded by fluttering feathers within sight. He formed a delusion. He strengthened the grasp on his D-sword and opened his channel into the Dirac Sea. Particles and antiparticles needed to materialize his delusion had been created. And from those two collections, only the particles, through the signals of light that were established as sight, were sent into Sakihata Rimi's dead spots.
それを
Yes,
待ってた。
it's time to Uno reverse.
何
Are these the Seriton eyes? Or the God's gaze, or whatever? In a single instant, the fluttering feathers transformed into eyes. Until this very moment, the only eyes watching him had been Rimi's, but now he was surrounded by an innumerable number of floating eyes.
その目誰の目
Oh, she said the thing! She said the thing! It was the last illusion Takumi had bestowed upon her. Oh no, now Norose is going to become an otaku freak. The particles Norose had sent were impeded by the countless eyes, rendering him unable to reach Rimi's dead spots, and those eyes connected to the direct seed discharged many antiparticles. An abdominal defense which cancelled out the power of a gigalomaniac, only because he was Nishijo Takumi. Only because he was a gigalomaniac, powerful enough to create a human. Only because he had exhausted the final embers of his own life. Could such a monstrous delusion have been real booted? Astonished by the eyes surrounding him, Norose gulped. No matter where he looked, there was only eyes watching him. Not only did the numbers refuse to dwindle, but they grew with no end. They buried Nodose's entire field of vision, and then they moved in toward him. Norose was instinctively overwhelmed by an intense fear. Gritting his teeth, he swung his D-sword. His eyes gushed blood, closed their eyelids, and vanished. Right behind every eye there was another. No matter how many he got down, the numbers remained the same.
私を見るな。
それならもう一生
Yeah, just don't open your eyes ever again. Norose suddenly felt a great pressure in his chest. And the very next moment, signals of pain sounded in his brain. Let's go! She actually fucking did it! What a fucking legend! As if they were a cloud of mist clearing away, the eyes that surrounded him all vanished without a trace. Before Nodose's eyes stood Rimi, and in her hand was the cross-shaped stake, lodged deep in Nodose's chest. And thus that was his end. After confirming Nodose's death, Rimi fell to her knees, debilitated. She was bleeding terribly, face pale as porcelain. She was barely even conscious now. Pained, irregular breaths seeped from her mouth. Her eyes no longer saw anything. She could still faintly hear the ominous sounds of Noah 2, designated its status as fully operational. I guess I've got no choice but to entrust someone else with destroying it.
ごめんねタク
In a faint, almost inaudible voice, Rimi whispered into the air.
約束守れそうにないみたいナナちゃん助けたから
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good thing. And you killed Nodose.
それで罪滅ぼしなんかには
Rimi sluggishly raised her face. There should have been a section of the planetarium's walls that had collapsed. A section through which the sky should have been peeking. But a few moments ago, it had been veiled completely by a collection of rain clouds. And because of that, she could only wonder. Her eyes no longer allowed her to confirm its color, but Sakiata Rimi showed a faint smile as she looked up to the sky.
あの空をあなたともう一度見たかったなタクありがとう
You're welcome. I did everything to save the day here. It was all me. What can I say? When I opened the door to my base and stepped out, a clear blue sky jumped into view. I had the feeling it had been raining, but it must have cleared up pretty fast. Oh my god, you can hear everybody dying in the background. I hadn't been able to find Rimi anywhere. She had vanished without a single word to me. Once again, she had disappeared on me. I've been waiting and waiting for hours on end, but she never came back. Instead, waiting outside my base was... Shogun? Oh shit.
将軍
Moving very slowly, the wrinkly boy in the wheelchair looked directly at me. Terrified, my legs gave out on me, and I fell to the ground.
君はこれから自由だよ
Oh. Oh, we're good? We're free?
僕はあと1時間もしないうちに生き絶えるだろう 君に脅威を与える存在はリミが殺してくれた。
Hearing her name sent a wave of relief through me. Rimi had tried her hardest to protect me?
青井瀬名と折原梢の死体は僕が隠しておいた。七海は病院に収容された。だから君はもう
Oh.
自由だ。
Oh, so you guys just didn't need me in this route. Okay. I didn't understand. Was he my enemy?
リミはどこへ？
リミは
Yeah, of course. She had to sacrifice herself. She had to sacrifice herself.
え？
それじゃ
Shogun, skillfully maneuvering his wheelchair, turns his back to me. Was he just disappear? I blinked once, and within that time frame, one that hadn't even spanned a single second, Shogun had vanished without trace. He's just gone. What the hell? What had just happened? Only a couple months after that, I heard a low-pitched quaking noise in the distance. Looking over toward the center of Shibuya, I saw something. As if there had been a giant explosion, a single cloud of dense black smoke was making its way up into the sky. Something had happened. No, something was happening. An uprising? Something paranormal? Or maybe even a battle between gigglomaniacs. Whatever it was, it scared the hell out of me. The mysterious appearance from Shogun had also scared the hell out of me. The mysterious appearance from Shogun had also scared the hell out of me. I didn't want to go anywhere near what was happening out there.
リミはもう戻ってこないよ。
But Rimi could have been over there. Right? Wait, yeah, could have been over there. She had disappeared once again, and yet I was surprisingly calm. It was strange. For some reason, I didn't feel like I'd been betrayed this time. This time, I had the strong belief that Rimi was somewhere out there, struggling all alone, trying her absolute hardest for my sake. But Rimi, haven't you done enough? Haven't you faced enough hardships as it is? You shouldn't have to suffer any longer. There's no reason to. It's not right. Aw, there she is. I remember the soft sensation of her lips. I was going to look for her. I had enough of not doing anything. I was staying in my room all day like a coward. Our future, for both Rimi and I, and the lives that we shared. There were so many incredible, amazing things waiting for us in the future. I chose to believe that, and I knew in my heart that it was right to do so. There she
一
is!
緒に学校行って、学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して、お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて、夕方一緒に帰って帰るついでにたまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして、タックの部屋で
Oh, yeah, this
だけ
one.
おしゃべりして、それでまた明日ねって手を振って別れて、そんなのでいいなら私いくらでもしてあげるよ。
I'm sorry, this CG is just her floating. And it's just put your hands out as the T-pose floating around Rimi. When do we get that?
そういうの結構憧れなんだ。
Now I understand. I understood what she meant by those words. How much she wished for a simple life. When I thought back on everything, I realized that the time I'd spent with her had only been a few hours in total, but I loved every last second of it. I was always happy when I was with her. To me, who had gone through every day all alone as a shut-in, living as though I was dead, Rimi's smile had been my sole source of hope. It told me that a bright future existed ahead of me. Rimi had smiled for my sake. So now, she should smile for her own sake. I believed she would come back. But this wasn't my usual escapism, hoping to avoid reality. No. This was my resolve. I would believe only in her, for she had promised me she would be with me forever. So get moving. Move your ass, Nashijo. Move your ass, Nishijo Takumi. Get going. You gotta go find her. And so, in order to see her again, I headed toward the destroyed Shibuya. Let's go. Wait for me, Rimi. I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'll find you. I know I will. And this time, I'll stay by your side. We did it, gamers. We did it. We did it. All the character routes are done now. All the character routes are done. All there's left is the true ending, which we're going to do tomorrow night. There might be an after credit meme though, so we'll wait until after. We'll wait until after this is done to see. I will say, okay, I'm surprised I was able to stay awake. It's not that this was boring or whatever, it's just that I was fucking tired when I decided to start, but it didn't hit me until we actually started. So, but we made it through. We made it through. We made it through. Once we got through the memory stuff, I had like a second win, I think. So I was paying more attention. I was like half falling asleep through a couple of lines earlier before that. I like had to like suddenly snap to attention, be like, wait, I've just been reading and I just don't feel, I felt like I was sleep reading for like a couple lines. I had to like reset my brain for a moment there. But we made it. We made it in the end. Trust in me. Woo! We did it. Oh my god. One more stream and we're done with Chaos and Noah. The finale tomorrow night. Okay, what do we got? Any other bonus meme? Achievement unlocked. Anima Archetype. Reach Rimi's ending. Blue Sky. We have a new option on the main menu. Blue Sky. This is the true ending button. This is the true ending, which we will not be doing tonight. But you can see it's there. It's there. And we will be pressing this button tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we'll be pressing this button. So thank you so much everybody for coming to hang out. We're almost done with Chaos and Noah. I hope you guys are excited for the true ending tomorrow. I'm excited. I don't know how long it's going to be. But I'll be starting it at around 7 tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll see how it goes. I will see you guys then. Stay safe, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for hanging. Goodbye.